squad today, while Sven Botman and Will Asula drop to the bench. In come Barnes, Joel Linton, and making his debut, Nick Voltemade, all 6 foot 6 inches and £65 million worth of him. There are black and white flags absolutely everywhere, all around us here at St James's Park. As you can hear, the tannoy incredibly loud. We're sitting on top of the tunnel, low down in this main stand, and alongside me for this one here is the former Newcastle United goalkeeper, Rob Elliott. Rob, good afternoon, how are you?
Good afternoon.
How is it to be back?
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's always such a brilliant atmosphere. Special club. And like you mentioned, there's just a buzz around the club at the moment, the noise, and obviously with the anticipation of trying to get that first win, the atmosphere is just getting better and better.
When you mention anticipation, how much of a buzz is there around the place, particularly today, given that Nick Voltemade is making his debut? A lot of Geordies keen to see what he can do in the black and white.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the big money signings are starting to come, and he's obviously a very talented lad, and there's nothing better than seeing a player make their debut at St James's. It can be really special, and particularly with the Barcelona game on Thursday, you know, from my experience, never playing in the Champions League, but when there's a big game coming up, you need to make sure you cement your place in the game before. So I think it's going to be a huge game today.
The two teams take to the field out of the tunnel down beneath us, led out by referee Chris Kavanagh. The Premier League anthem plays, and they're lined up either side of the halfway line. Newcastle to the right as we look, Wolves to the left, and they now cross over as they do their pre-match handshake. So to run through the two lineups for you, Newcastle with Nick Pope in goal, Kieran Trippier, Fabian Schär, Dan Burn and Tino Livramento the back four. Then a 3 in midfield of Bruno Guimaraes, Sandro Tonali and Joel Linton, and then a top 3 of Harvey Barnes, Nick Voltemade and Jacob Murphy. Just your thoughts on that side as a whole, Rob? You've seen them play against Liverpool in that thriller, 2 0-0 draws away from home. When you take all of that into account and you look at the side today, what do you make of it?
I think it's the strongest side they could put out considering the injuries, and it's very well balanced. And I think the big thing is they're going to want to get off to a quick start. You know, Wolves obviously had a tough start to the season, so I'm expecting a fast start from Newcastle. But with Wolves, you know, they were excellent last year, and I think they made 5 changes, so I don't think it's going to be as easy as maybe the obvious is with Newcastle being at home. But we'll see how they start. But yeah, it's a strong team and a strong squad Newcastle have got now.
A change in goal for Wolves today as Sam Johnson comes in for Jose Sarr. He cost £10 million to Johnson from Crystal Palace just over a year ago. Played in the cup win against West Ham a couple of weeks ago. Then it's a back 3 of Yerson Mosquera, Emmanuel Agbadou and Totti. 3 in midfield, Krejci, Andre and Joao Gomez, with Hugo Bueno wide left, Rodrigo Gomez wide right, and then Hwang and Tolu Arakadore are up top. The 2 captains move into the centre circle for pre-match handshakes with the referee and photos with the mascots. I don't know where I've seen more handshaking, in the centre circle or up here in the main stand. You've seen so many people who you've not seen for ages. Loving being back.
Yeah, well, the fantastic thing is the club have kept all the fantastic people that were here for the last 10-15 years, and you know, the club's going through some brilliant times, but there's brilliant people behind it, so it's lovely seeing everyone.
There's somebody else just above us who's coming over to wave to Rob Elliott as well, a supporter just leaning over the railings here. Seemed very happy to see Rob Elliott. Who was that?
Oh, that is the one and only, the legend, Jonas Gutierrez. One of the best human beings I've ever met, and yeah, that's made my day, to be honest with you.
Have you been able to get back much since you left? Because you've obviously been managing for the last few years at Crawley and Gateshead, not being able to get back as much as you would have liked.
Well, you can't get a ticket, to be honest with you, so yeah, no, I follow the club. I'm a massive Newcastle fan now, and the kids are all born here, and it's just a brilliant club to be around. It's great to see the clubs prosper, and like I said, it's the people behind the club that is fantastic to see, and you know, hopefully that's one of the reasons the good times are coming.
Well, it's Wolves who are going to get this game started, standing over the ball in the centre circle. They're going to kick from left to right. Their supporters high up in the top tier of that stand away to our left. Newcastle are going to kick from right to left. And standing right in front of us on the edge of the centre circle on this near side is Nick Voltemade, wearing shirt number 27. He is absolutely huge. He's got the Peter Crouch-like build as Wolves go long and hit a... Apologies, you lost the line there, and what a shame, because it's been one of the most lively starts to a Premier League game that we've had all season here on 5 Sports Extra. It's Newcastle 0, Wolves 0, but Wolves could have scored twice. First, a shot from Rodrigo Gomez, a cross goal, brilliantly saved by Pope, and now here come Newcastle on the attack. Tonali down the left, cross with the outside of his right boot, well claimed by goalkeeper Sam Johnston, wearing all pink. I'll run through the 2 lineups again for you in just a second, but Wolves with 2 chances, Pope with 2 great saves, the first to deny Rodrigo Gomez, and then the other save as Wolves come on the attack here was to deny Hwang Hee-chan. It's Hwang who has the ball at the moment, right side of the area, and it's been non-stop Wolves. Rob Elliott so far. What a start by Vitor Pereira's team.
Yeah, they've started fantastically. Obviously had the initial shot and then the follow-up from the corner, and no, even then when Sam Johnson got the ball they broke forward quickly, and there's a lot of intent from them. So no, it looks like it's going to be a fantastic game. It doesn't look like it's going to be looks like it's going to be open and very eventful by the start.
Ball goes out for a Newcastle throw on this near side, which is the Newcastle left back area, taken by Tino Livramento as Newcastle kick from left to right, but it's been all Wolves so far, kicking from left to right, attacking the Gallagate. And seeing as we've got a goalkeeper here with us, we've got to do what any commentator would do and tap into all of that brilliant goalkeeping knowledge to make 2 saves, the quality of the ones that Nick Pope has done inside the first minute of a game takes razor sharp concentration, especially when he's playing for the first time in a couple of weeks following the international break as well.
Yeah, I mean, the first save is incredible. I mean, to make it in the first 8 seconds of the game is, I mean, you'd be happy with that at any point. The second save of goalkeeper Nick Pope's quality, will expect it, but no, I mean, there's obviously been a lot of talk of goalkeepers this summer, but I think Nick Pope's been one of the best signings in the last, out of the group that come in. Nick's been absolutely fantastic from start to finish, and
Newcastle on the attack as Murphy tries the curler just wide. First time shot from 25 yards out. It was well picked out in the first place by Trippier, who rolled the ball back to Murphy. He tried the curler, and goalkeeper Johnston at full stretch. I don't think he was going to get there that time, Rob. Just wide of the far post from Jacob Murphy.
Yeah, brilliant from Murphy. Fantastic effort. Obviously, unfortunately, I was talking about goalkeeping too much, so I'll make sure I stop that when the ball's in the attacking third.
But it's raining chances here. 0-0, 4.5 gone at St James's Park. What a game as Trippier goes long this time, looking to try and pick out the head of Harvey Barnes. Wolves defend that well. And now Tonali picks out Barnes again over on the far side, the Newcastle right. Here's Murphy, who went close a few moments ago. First time cross, clawed away unconvincingly that time by Sam Johnston, and the ball's going to get picked up by Livramento on this near side. Running at Hugo Bueno. Support arrives from the ever-impressive Harvey Barnes, wearing shirt number 11 in the black and white of Newcastle United. End-to-end, brilliant match, no goals. Barnes digs out a cross, goes all the way through, and is gratefully grabbed that time by Sam Johnston. Live wire, Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, Newcastle starting to grow into the game now and starting to get the territory in the final third. Some good combinations and crosses starting to come in, which is what you'd expect with the size of the new signing, the big man. And yeah, hasn't got near the end of them yet, but it looks like they're definitely working the wide areas, Newcastle.
If you're looking for commentary of Everton against Aston Villa, that is over on 5 Live with our usual goal service as Newcastle get penalised here for a handball. Ian Dennis and Stephen Warnock on commentary there at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. They've got reporters here, there and everywhere. Earlier we had regular updates on 5 Live of the first Premier League game following the international break. Arsenal beating Nottingham Forest 3-0, and here Gomez has gone in very, very late on a Newcastle player on this near side, and João Gomez here, yellow card has been shown. There was a coming together, Gomez and Krejci, and Newcastle have a man down on this near side. I'm just going to have a look. It's Krejci who took Bruno Guimaraes. Yellow card feels about right.
Yeah, it feels about right. I don't think there's any menace in it. It was a bit high, just caught him and probably rolled his ankle. He seems to be in a bit of distress, but hopefully he's okay.
Trainer called for straight away. It was Gomez, who was on the scene, and Krejci is the one who has been shown a yellow card there on his Wolves debut. Ladislav Krejci, on loan from Girona, played international football for the Czech Republic during the international break. But Bruno Guimaraes, worryingly here, Rob, is still down.
Yeah, it's not a good sign. He's obviously played a couple of games as well in the international break for Brazil, and been nothing but sensational, has he, since he come to the club. So he's just getting hopefully back to his feet now, and he'll be okay to carry on, especially with the big game on Thursday.
What have you made of the start? Because we have had 7 minutes of literally non-stop action. I know this is the first time you've done a commentary for a while. It's not normally like this all the time. You don't get this week in, week out. This has been superb to see.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Goal-mouth action, two teams that are, want to play attacking football, which is great to see. And the modern game's drifting into that man v man sort of scenarios now. So there's a lot of action, a lot of dribbling, and you see these talented players now. Look at Tonali, took on 2 people in the first few seconds, gets a cross in, and hopefully, it's going to be a good game. You can tell that Wolves obviously have had their issues, but with the changes they made and the squad they've put out, they're looking well organised. They're looking a real threat.
Guimaraes back on his feet and just having a drink of water on this near side. So Newcastle temporarily down to 10 as they send a long ball forwards. Wolves with the header clear, only as far as Harvey Barnes, who's in a race to get there first on this near side up against Hwang Hee-chan. Ball goes out into touch, and it will be a throw into Wolves in their right back area. So goalless in all of the 3 o'clock Premier League games so far. Bournemouth 0, Brighton 0, Palace 0, Sunderland 0, Everton 0, Aston Villa 0. Commentary over on 5 Live, and it's Fulham 0, Leeds 0 as well. Earlier, Arsenal 3, Nottingham Forest 0. 5:30 we've got commentary on 5 Live of West Ham against Tottenham, and then the final Premier League game of the day is a London derby at 8 between Brentford and Chelsea. Wolves with the ball inside their own half here, dead centre, given away. Guimaraes back on, has the ball at his feet. Voltemade with his back to goal, plays in Joel Linton. Nice move this from Newcastle. Barnes to the edge of the area, Joel Linton overlapping, Joel Linton with a pull back, and eventually the ball ends up into the grateful gloves of Sam Johnston. Joel Linton at the heart of everything that Newcastle were doing going forwards there. Rob Elliott.
Yeah, some brilliant play, great link-up play, and a couple of 1-2s with Barnes and Wolverhampton, and he's got into the box, tried to put it back, and Wolves defender got well to cut it out and fell to Sam Johnston. But again, promising from Newcastle, and like I say, no stopping the game so far. The pace is electric. Newcastle
0, Wolves 0, as Wolves look to come forward over on the far side this time with Rodrigo Gomez, who had that shot tipped around the post brilliantly inside the first 10 seconds by Nick Pope. Hwang Hee-chan went close from the edge of the area with a shot which Pope tipped around the bottom corner just a few seconds later. Newcastle with chances since then. Down the other end, here come Wolves into the area left side with Arakadore. Good defending by Newcastle. Trippier picks up the pieces and looks to send Guimaraes on his way, but he's stopped in his stride by Krejci, and Wolves have it back on the edge of the area. Danger here, chance for Wolves, shot goes in, dragged wide that time of the near post by Rodrigo Gomez. You can't give Wolves a sniff today. No wins in the league so far, 3 defeats out of 3, but if you take this game in isolation, you'd have no idea.
No, not at all. They've been absolutely fantastic and causing Newcastle problems. Tolo Arakadore, apologies. He's a big guy and he's causing problems. They've been fantastic, Wolves, and being brave, pressing Newcastle high, and they're finding spaces in between the midfield and the back line. It's like you said, Newcastle probably now consider themselves fortunate to be 0-0.
Latest scores elsewhere: Sheffield Wednesday 0, Bristol City 1 in the Championship. It's Barnsley 1, Reading 0 in League 1, and also in that division, Port Vale are a goal to the good away at Exeter, Rob's former club that he managed. Gateshead 1 down at Wealdstone as things stand. Here 0-0 with 11.5 minutes on the clock on 5 Sports Extra from the BBC. Remember, a choice of listening every single Saturday at 3 o'clock during the Premier League season. One commentary with the goal service on 5 Live, the other here on 5 Sports Extra. And this is where we are this afternoon at a sun-drenched St James's Park. It's been very hit and miss weather-wise. We've had a bit of rain, bit of wind, bit of cloud, and now the sun's sneaking out again here in the northeast. Livramento on the attack down the left, takes it to the byline. Wolves defend but run out of space, and Newcastle will have a throw-in on this near side there left, 12 yards from the corner flag, to be taken by Tino Livramento, who just calls for the towel off one of the ball people on this near side. Livramento wipes the ball and now gets ready to send in a long throw. It's been end to end, as we've said. Wolves with the most clear cut of the chances, forcing 2 early saves from Nick Pope, but every time Newcastle United have gone forwards, they've looked dangerous. Scratching the head from Livramento as he lines up his options here. He's got Trippier further back down the left line if he decides to go that way, but goes long towards the 6 yards area. Not really dealt with, goes all the way through, and that is a brilliant save by Johnston to deny Jacob Murphy when it looked like for all the world Murphy was going to stroke that in for 1-0.
Yeah, another brilliant save, and yeah, you thought it was 1-0 Newcastle. Long throw, caused a bit of carnage. The ball managed to bounce all the way through to the back post, and Jacob Murphy, yeah, you think he's going to tap it in, but Johnson, I think, sticks out a leg and makes a fantastic save.
It found its way into the 6 yards area. Nobody picked up Murphy as the cross comes back in. Wolves head the ball up into the air, cleared to the edge of the area. Barnes with the first time shot over the crossbar. Goal kick to Wolves, but that throw made its way straight through the 6 yards area. Murphy peeled away from his marker, and Johnston did, I'm guessing, Rob, the only thing you can do as a keeper in that position, made himself as big as possible and just hoped the ball hit him.
Yeah, he did. He holds his ground really well, moves his feet and sticks out his leg instinctively, makes a brilliant save from a couple of yards. You know, I think Jacob knows he should have scored that, but no, all credit to Johnston. I think if it wasn't for Pope and Johnson, this game wouldn't be 0-0.
Well, he had that worldie earlier, didn't he, Murphy? First time shot from about 22 yards out, tried to bend that one into the far top corner. That one went just wide. You could forgive him that, certainly. This time, 5 yards out, goal gaping, should have made it 1-0. Sam Johnston coming in for Jose Sarr to make his first league start of the season. That'll do him the world of confidence, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. He's very experienced, Johnson. International footballer as well, and yeah, I think he would probably be. I think he'd be looking at this as an opportunity to keep his place. So, no, goalkeeper's been excellent so far.
João Gomez has the ball in the Wolves midfield, midway inside the Newcastle half. Newcastle fans just a little bit unhappy there at how much time and space Gomez was allowed to have to dictate things in the midfield. Elsewhere, Wigan 1-0 up at home to Doncaster in League One, but in the top flight, no goals in any of the 5 3:00 games so far. Wolves try and come forwards, go straight through to Pope, wearing all light blue, and he sends Bruno Guimaraes on his way, who's moving just fine following that earlier knock. Newcastle work the ball to the right, to the man who should have just scored. Murphy tries the through ball, looking for the run of Joel Linton. Wolves defend well, and Newcastle, Rob Elliott, have the game's first corner. 0-0, 15 gone, plenty in the way of entertainment.
Yeah, it's been excellent, hasn't it? And seems to be quite a clear pattern. Wolves protecting the middle, back 5, allowing Newcastle to go wide and backing themselves to defend the crosses. So, yeah, I don't think the action's going to stop, and Wolves certainly have been excellent when they've had the ball and causing real problems. The front 2, front 3 for Wolves have been electric. And
round of applause for Trippier as he makes his way over to the far side, the Newcastle right, to take this first corner of the game. It's going to be an away swing. There's João Gomez just cutting off any short option, but there's 5 black and white shirts waiting for this delivery inside the penalty area here. Trippier taking his time. Chris Kavanagh's blown his whistle, the referee, but Trippier again wants to just respot it over on the far side. He's not happy with something. Kieran Trippier, he's bending the ear of the assistant referee. From a spectator's point of view, we just want him to get on with it and not disrupt the flow of the game. In goes the cross, Voltemade with his head. I was going to say rose highest. Easy when you're 6'6". That header though goes well wide of the target. Just not getting the service early on that he would have liked so far, Voltemade.
No, he's not, but I think he's shown a couple of lovely touches in linking up with Joelinton and Murphy and Barnes. I think the Wolves aren't giving him much space, are they? They're sitting deep, they're compact in the middle, obviously aware of his threat. So, as the game goes on, hopefully he'll build into it and get a few more opportunities. Johnston's
goal kick, wearing all pink, the Wolves goalkeeper, shirt number 31, high into the Newcastle half of the field. The ball is brought down by Aracadore, and now it's the number 8 of João Gomez who carries it back to centre half, Yerson Mosquera. Newcastle press, forced the ball to go all the way back to Johnston, under a little bit of pressure there from Voltemade. He hits it long and it's flicked back by Share, and Newcastle have the ball on the edge of their own D. Elsewhere, Bristol Rovers 1, Barrow 0, Luton 0, Plymouth 1, Fleetwood 1, Walsall 0, and 2-0 Wigan lead now against Doncaster. So goals flying in Leagues 1 and 2, not much in the Championship and nothing in the Premier League so far. There might be one here though for Wolves, who've been excellent in the opening 17 minutes of this game. Ball over on the far side with Talou Arakadore. Strokes the ball back. Wolves being more patient in their build-up after that lightningly quick, frantic start. Nice through ball. Here's Hwang, right side of the penalty area, sends it across. Arakadore is waiting, and that is a brilliant intervention by Newcastle, and the back-tracking Fabian Schär there, because it looked for all the world like that was going to be a tap-in for 1-0 to Wolves and Arakadore.
That's unbelievable bit of defending from Fabian Schär, just to get a slight touch to take it away. But yeah, no, Wolves have been electric. They're finding some space down the side in between the fullbacks and the centre halves, and they've been really crisp with their passing. And yeah, Newcastle again fortunate not to concede.
So hard to do that as well as a defender facing his own goal, to not put through his own goal and get the ball behind for a corner, whilst also at the same time keeping an eye on the player who you're trying to deny. Hwang with the in-swinger across the 6 yards area. The ball's cleared away. Barnes tries to get there first to the loose ball, can't, and Wolves have it back with Hugo Bueno on this near side. Deep cross towards the back post, headed across goal, straight into the gloves of Nick Pope, who we've praised a lot so far in this game. Nick Pope, for those early saves and good commanding from set pieces so far as well.
Yeah, no, he's been excellent. I think Newcastle's just a bit unsettled at the moment. They haven't really found any rhythm. And I think Wolves have been excellent when they've when the ball's turned over and they've had possession. They've really hurt Newcastle, getting in behind and down the side. And then Newcastle just been a bit sloppy. It's a couple of times they've turned the ball over to Tonali and then Barnes, and Wolves are on the attack again. Yeah,
with Krejci, who's on that yellow card following that earlier challenge on Bruno Guimaraes. First goal of the afternoon's got in the Premier League's 3 o'clock. Bournemouth lead Brighton by a goal to nil. Alex Scott with the goal down on the south coast there. So Bournemouth 1, Brighton 0. Here, Newcastle 0, Wolves 0. 19 minutes played. Nicely controlled by Hugo Bueno on this near side with the ball on the edge of the Newcastle penalty area. Couple of step overs, beats Livramento, pulls the ball back. Defended well that time by Guimaraes, linking up with Barnes. Guimaraes in a little bit of trouble here, draws the foul cleverly from Emmanuel Agbadou, and it will be a Newcastle free kick in their left back area. Clever play.
Yeah, used his experience there just to draw the foul, especially with Newcastle not being in a great position in their final third. But no, again, excellent from Wolves. They're getting into Newcastle's final third a bit too easily, whether it's through the individual, whether they're going past 1v1s or whether they're playing the balls, little combinations, and especially the balls down the side. They're pulling the fullbacks out and finding that space down in between the centre halves. So Newcastle really got a job in their hands.
Byrne goes long, looking for the run of Harvey Barnes, who tries to take it over his shoulder. Barnes gets clattered on the edge of the area that time by Yerson Mosquera, and the referee Chris Kavanagh not interested. The challenge was right on the line, so VAR won't be able to get involved anyway, because I think it was just outside the area. But questions asked there of Chris Kavanagh, because Barnes looked to be clean through, and Mosquera, it was just very, very clumsy how he just bundled into him.
Yeah, it's that horrible one when the floaty ball forward and the in behind, and the centre half lets it bounce, and Barnes, well, it'd be interesting to see it again whether he gets the wrong side of him. I think because the ball goes through to Johnson, it's not a foul, but you have seen these given, and it is clumsy. It's clumsy, and he catches Barnes definitely. So yeah, I spend
arm across the face.
Yeah, I think watching it, I think he's fortunate, to be honest with you.
From Mosquera, the game not able to restart. The collision was out of the area. The question will be asked about last man, etc. here. Checking possible red card, denial of a goal scoring opportunity is the message from VAR. So just a slight pause while we wait to get this game started. Decision made, no red card, no denial of a goal scoring opportunity. The game will restart from a Newcastle United free kick inside the centre circle to be taken by Trippier. He can count himself a lucky boy there, Mosquera.
I think so, yeah. It's really clumsy. I mean, there was it wasn't malicious at all. He's caught him with his arm, but he's not intended to. I think it's more the actual collision that was where he can see himself being fortunate. But yeah, Wolves safely navigate the free kick from Newcastle and back on the ball, and looking very good, aren't they?
Those are the thoughts of former Newcastle goalkeeper Rob Elliott with us here on 5 Sports Extra from the BBC. Wolves have the ball inside their own half. Newcastle 0, Wolves 0. If you're looking for Everton versus Aston Villa, that's with Stephen Warnock and Ian Dennis with the goal service as well over on 5 Live. Wolves lose the ball in the midfield. Voltemade gets on the end of it for Newcastle. That's a foul by Joao Gomez, and Newcastle will have a free kick inside left, level with the edge of the centre circle, which is taken quickly by Joel Linton to send Tonali on his way. He gives it to Trippier, and now here's Murphy, who's had a couple of chances cutting in from the right. He has it right now, plays the ball into the area. Joel Linton tries the flick. Joao Gomez is wise to it. He clears it towards Hwang in the midfield, does well to hold off one Newcastle player, turn away from another two, and then switch play superbly across the halfway line to bring in Hugo Bueno, who's advancing forwards, checks, looks at what his options are, brings in Agbadou, and now here's Andre in the midfield for Wolverhampton Wanderers. 0-0, midway point of the first half. If you have just joined us, it has been excellent, this game, in the way of entertainment. It really has. In the Championship, Norwich have just gone 1-0 up at Coventry. Wolves wide on the right with Hugo Bueno. Ball goes behind for a goal kick. It's Sheffield Wednesday 0, Bristol City 2. And at the Bet365 Stadium, Bosun Lual has put Stoke City 1-0 up against Birmingham. Here, Wolves looking to go 1-0 up against Newcastle.
Yeah, Newcastle have been very disjointed. Third or fourth time they've turned possession over easily. Not really been forced into making the error. And Wolves been excellent. They've pinned Newcastle in there, turning the ball over every single time Newcastle have it, especially from deep. Newcastle probably need a little spark now, because they haven't really had any possession. I think they need to get hold of the ball, try and keep possession for a little bit and take this thing out of the game.
In League One, Peterborough 1, Wickham 0, Luton 1, Plymouth 1 and Burton 0, Lincoln 1 are latest scores. This game has had just about everything. A lightning start, good saves, controversial moment there with VAR having to get involved for the very first time. It just needs a goal. If you could write a script for a perfect football match, a goal now would be at this most required time.
Yeah, I mean, if it was 2-2, you wouldn't complain, would you? I think you'd probably expect it to be that with the chances that both teams have had. So, no, it's been a good game. I think Wolves have been the better team, there's no doubt about that. Newcastle haven't been anywhere near at their best. They haven't quite flowed yet. They've shown glimpses in wide areas where they've caused problems, but I think Wolves have probably decided to let Newcastle have it in wide areas and defend the middle of the pitch, so we'll see if that works for them.
Newcastle again down the right. Murphy plays in Voltemade, right side of the area, on the byline, holds off two. Can he get the ball back to Trippier? Yes. Rolls it back. Guimaraes on his right foot. Here's Murphy, chip ball over the top, back to Guimaraes. Voltemade with a shot, it's blocked. Appeals for handball. Here's Livramento on the edge of the D. His shot is saved. The whistle had already gone though, because a Wolves player's gone down with a head injury. But Voltemade, I tell you what, he did not half catch that shot first time, Rob Elliott.
Yeah, we've only seen glimpses, but his hold-up play and his link-up play has been absolutely superb. For a big guy, he's got fantastic feet. It's great connection. Obviously, it's hit the Wolves player in the head and he's gone down. But I've liked what I've seen from him so far. It's a great little run there to get in behind, get on the ball, then comes back around and gets his shot off. So, no, look, Newcastle haven't been great. He hasn't had loads of service, but I think what we've seen so far, I've been pleased with. I think probably Barnes and Murphy now need to make more runs off of him in behind to stretch the pitch a bit more, and then hopefully that allows Newcastle to grow into the game. But speaking of size, obviously Tolu Arakade, am I saying that right? Arakadore, apologies. He's a big lad as well, and he's caused Newcastle all sorts of problems. So, yeah, I think it's been an interesting start, and I think Wolves, if you're a Wolves fan right now, you're just hoping you get that goal while you're on top, because I think Newcastle, from their point of view, have been poor, and you'd expect them to get better, and Wolves probably just want to maintain the momentum that they've started with. It's
got a break in play at the moment here, just why the Wolves medics are on the field. So a recap of the scores elsewhere. Bournemouth 1, Brighton 0 in the Premier League. Alex Scott's goal there is what separates the two teams. And all the other 3 o'clock games are the top flight goalless. Palace, Sunderland, Everton, Villa, which is live over on 5 Live. Fulham, Leeds, and here Newcastle 0, Wolves 0. West Ham, Tottenham's the 5 Live 5:30 commentary, and then we'll have update to Brentford versus Chelsea from 8 o'clock. Nick Voltemade, just to give you a little bit more on him, obviously £65 million from Stuttgart. People talk about players needing time to settle in. Well, he's played 3 times this season for Stuttgart already. He was part of the Germany side, started actually for them in the 3-1 win over Northern Ireland. So rust shouldn't be an issue. more familiarity more than anything else when you go into a new club and settling straight in?
Yeah, definitely. And I think Eddie Howe spoke about his personality and how he's settled in, and he mentioned it a couple of times. And I think what Eddie's done really well with new signings, especially lads, from the continent or South America, is he's given time to settle in. With Tonali, obviously he had the issue with his ban, but even then he wasn't chucked in for every game. And I think that's what Eddie and his staff have done really well. And I think the fact that they see him, I know obviously there's injuries and suspensions, but the fact they see him okay to start is a good sign. And I think he's been good. I think he's held the ball up really well. He seems to know the patterns, and overall it's been a good start. I think we'd like to see him get more service in the box, but I think that's based on Newcastle just getting to grips with Wolves, because Wolves have been excellent.
Well, Newcastle on the attack as the game restarts. Murphy tries to send in a cross from the right, blocked, and Newcastle have their second corner of this first half. Wolves temporarily down to 10, just while Mosquera is receiving some final bits of treatment off the pitch on this near side. Mosquera probably count himself a little bit fortunate to have still been on the pitch about 5 or 6 minutes ago, following his coming together with Barnes on the edge of the area. He's now returning, having received treatment, and Newcastle are getting ready via the right boot of Trippier to deliver this corner. An away swinger, 4 black and white shirts on the edge of the penalty area, 2 more central in the forms of Joel Linton and Guimaraes. Corner goes in, Dan Burn heads it down, big Wolves boot volleys it clear towards the edge of the centre circle, where the ball's picked up by Tino Livramento. Here's Harvey Barnes for Eddie Howe's Newcastle United, low ball across the 18 yards line, easily read and cut out by Wolves, who hit it long with the clearance, but this time the furthest player forwards is João Gomez, and that's going to carry all the way through to Trippier in the right back area. Plays it long and low, receives the ball back. Newcastle looking to make the most of this while Wolves are still sitting in 0-0 between the two teams here at St James's. 28 minutes on the clock. Newcastle with the ball in the midfield, loose, picked up by Voltemada, gives it to Murphy, who's been lively in this game so far for Newcastle. Nice flick, gives it to Trippier, first time cross, in it goes, couldn't quite reach Guimaraes that time. Ball drops for Tonali though, dead centre, 30 yards out in the midfield. Here's Tino Livramento. Guimaraes says leave it to me, he cuts in on his right foot, now Tonali, now Livramento. Good passage of play this by Newcastle. Livramento on the edge of the area, Tonali 25 yards out, encouraged to shoot, doesn't, instead chips it over the top looking for the run of Trippier. Wolves clear it, and now here's Murphy again on the edge of the area. Newcastle on top here in terms of possession. They need to test Johnston more though, as the cross comes in from the right, looking for Voltemada! Nick Voltemada with a debut goal at St James's Park. He slides on his knees. What a moment for him. £65 million he cost from Stuttgart, and he's repaying that fee straight away. St James's Park, and the Newcastle faithful have a new hero, and his name is Nick Voltemada. He's made it Newcastle 1, Wolves 0.
Yeah, brilliant header. Exactly what you'd expect from someone who's 6'6". Great play from Newcastle. The first time they've really kept the ball and moved the ball with intent. He pulls off at the back post, gets away from his marker, and with the ball perfectly flighted up, he was never going to miss. Heads it past Sam Johnson at the back post, and what a fantastic start. We said he looked lively, we said he looked sharp, and the crowd are electric, and hopefully that gives Newcastle another kick start. I think that was a danger we said with Wolves, if they are willing to sit on the edge of their box and allow Newcastle to put crosses in and play in the wide areas, and then that was the danger, and they punished him, and it's a fantastic header, fantastic finish, and a dream debut like we talked about.
And you know what, he is going to steal the headlines, and rightfully so. They love a striker up here at Newcastle United, but the person I mentioned just before that who has been excellent, what a ball in, Rob, from Jacob Murphy in the first place.
Yeah, fantastic. And Jacob Murphy's been an unsung hero for the last couple of years. He's been Mr. Consistent, he works hard, he's played in multiple positions. And he missed that opportunity in the first 10 minutes, but one of Murph's biggest strengths is that he's got a tough mentality. He'll keep going, and now he puts a fantastic ball in to put Newcastle 1-0 up.
Late tackle from Andre on Livramento. He gets a yellow card, much to the annoyance of the Wolves bench down below us. So now that's 2 in the referee's notebook. But the headline for this game, written already, Nick Voltemada, half an hour into his Newcastle United debut, with a header, pinpoint cross from Murphy to set him up, powerful header, Sam Johnston with no chance, and he peeled away, he slid on his knees, he milked every single moment of that goal celebration as well. And as I said a few seconds ago, he's becoming a hero already and is starting to repay some of that £65 million price tag. What a roar as his name was read out as well, as he was confirmed as the goal scorer. As we said, they love a big striker around here.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. You know, it's I think Newcastle, maybe not the number 9, but a striker for Newcastle scoring goals is going to go down as in folklore, and I think, you know, he's got off to a great start, and I think, you know, that position he took up in the back half of the goal at the back post, with his size and his dominance in the air, you know, that's something that Newcastle can exploit, not just today but going forward. So it's great to see an early glimpse, and it'll be interesting how Wolves respond, because Wolves have been excellent. You know, that's the first sort of blip I suppose they would have had, and it'll be interesting to see if Newcastle can use the goal to kickstart themselves, because we know they can play a lot better.
32 played, Newcastle United 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. The ball is with Mosquera for Wolves, goes all the way back to goalkeeper Sam Johnston. Absolutely no chance as that header went in from close range, and just listen to the Newcastle faithful all around us.
Yeah, it needed the goal, didn't it? It needed the goal or something to get the crowd involved and raise the tempo, and like we said, it's going to be an interesting 5 minutes to see, you know, how the game, the flow of the game goes, because probably Newcastle's best still, wasn't it, leading to the goal. So we need to just see how Wolves respond and if Newcastle can capitalise again.
Latest scores elsewhere: Grimsby 0, Cambridge 1, and Swindon 0, Harrogate 1. We'll keep you up to date with all the scores here on 5 Sports Extra, the full goal service with Ian Dennis over on 5 Live as he commentates Everton versus Aston Villa, our main 3 o'clock game. But this has been excellent from second one up to this point. 33 minutes in, Newcastle 1, Wolves 0. Early chances and early dominance from Wolves, but then a headline made already by Nick Voltemada on the half-hour mark, heading in the Murphy cross to send the Toon wild here in the northeast. Newcastle go long looking for Voltemada again. Goalkeeper Johnston comes flying out of his area, heads the ball forwards. Guimaraes applies the pressure, knocks the ball forwards. Is he going to be able to keep it in play? No, but he'll settle for a throw, which he looks to take quickly. He's been a live wire as well, hasn't he? We keep praising Murphy, but Guimaraes pulling all the strings as ever for Newcastle. Yeah,
I think not only are they fantastic footballers, but Tonali and Bruno, they're just, I think it's their energy. You know, they get about the pitch, the two of them in there, and yeah, Bruno's always driving the team forward. You know, they both play the defensive position. They both still allow themselves to go and get in the box. So, no, real talented lads, and obviously the captain now, so it shows how much he's settled in the last couple of years.
Cher hits the ball high, Wolves just about able to deal with it right side of their penalty area. We have got 11 minutes to go until half time here on 5 Sports Extra. Things nicely tidied up at the back by Newcastle, and now Cher with a pinpoint pass to pick out Joel Linton, who's been effective in this game. Livramento picks out Harvey Barnes, low cross is blocked this time by Agbadou. Newcastle settle for a throw 12 yards from the corner flag. We thought it was loud when Voltemada headed in that opener for Newcastle. It is going to be really loud here on Thursday night, because what a Champions League fixture they're going to welcome here at St James's. Barcelona will be in town, and we'll have full commentary with John Murray and Chris Sutton on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. That should be quite the occasion. 8 o'clock kickoff here on Thursday night. Tino Livramento again uses the towel to wipe the ball. We've just had fine rain falling here in the northeast. His throw flicked on by Joel Linton, headed away to the edge of the area by Wolves, headed further clear this time by Agbadou. Ball falls for Trippier, who switches play from left to right. Trippier just moving to this near side just for a second. High raking ball intercepted by Rodrigo Gomez, who went close inside the first 10 seconds. He puts the ball out for a Newcastle throw, taken quickly. Cher has it at his feet and now picks out Sandro Tonali inside right in the midfield, midway inside the Wolves half. Joel Linton finds Guimaraes, and Newcastle since that goal have just looked completely composed and totally in charge of this game. Wolves important, given that they come into this game with 3 Premier League defeats out of 3. Important that they don't let their heads drop now.
Yeah, definitely. I think they've sort of sat back a little bit. I think it's taken the wind out of them, conceding that goal, and Newcastle have really stepped on. No, they've pinned Wolves in now. They're moving the ball really well, working the ball across, and Wolves probably just need to hang on. I'd imagine they're looking to hang on to half time now to try and regroup, because like we said, Wolves probably were the better team up until the goal. Newcastle had one good passage of play, brilliant cross, brilliant finish, and it seems to have really changed the flow of the game.
Ball goes out for a Newcastle throw right by the corner flag on this near side there left. Again, Livramento the man to take. Goals flying in elsewhere. Stockport 1, Cardiff 0 in League 1. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Bristol City 2. Barnsley 1, Reading 1. And Connor Cody scored an own goal for Wrexham as they trail at home to QPR 1-0. Barnes receives the ball from the throw. Shot blocked. Balloons into the air, and then it's volleyed down clear by Wolves. Joao Gomez will give chase, beaten to it by Tonali. The 2-8 in a battle in the midfield. Tonali does really well to bring it under control, move the ball wide, then draw the foul from Joao Gomez, who looks really annoyed, but that was excellent from Sandro Tonali.
Yeah, brilliant play, ball bouncing over his head, running back to his own goal. He knows that he's under pressure, takes the ball, draws the foul. Just tremendous. He's just getting better and better, Tonali, and like you said, going into a massive game now, going against Barcelona, going against some of the top European clubs. I think there's players in this Newcastle squad, and I think this squad will start to believe that they can compete, not just turn up, but can compete like we saw against Liverpool, even with 10 men for long periods. I thought that Newcastle were excellent, and I think they're starting to be a bit of belief that they can compete with the top sides, not just in England, but they'll get the chance to test it on Europeans' biggest stage.
And then you look also the likes of Yohan Wissa, still to make his Newcastle debut, £55 million signing from Brentford. Eventually, seemed like that was never going to get done. It did. He's just got 2 in 2 for Senegal, by the way, during the international break. So he's still to come into this Newcastle squad. Not played club football, Wissa, since the 1-1 draw for Brentford at Wolves on the final day of last season, but still looking sharp, playing international football for Senegal over the last couple of weeks. 1-0 Newcastle lead here. We've got 7 minutes to go until half time on 5 Sports Extra. Wolves with the ball with Krejci, who does well to move over the halfway line. Forwards to Joao Gomez, tries to play in Arakadore left side of the penalty area. Trippier does well to intercept, but then his back heel clearance is poor. Hwang gets on the end of the loose ball, picks out Joao Gomez. His cross in towards Hwang, goes behind, goal kick to Newcastle United, and Nick Pope will be quite happy with how the last half hour's gone, given the manic start where he had to make 2 saves inside the first minute. Excellent goalkeeping to kind of provide the platform for what Newcastle have gone on to do since.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose we can't forget his contribution, and like you said, Wolves still looking a threat, but Newcastle definitely now looking more of a threat, much more intent when they're going forward. And yeah, I suppose half-time will be interesting because there'll be a lot for both teams to go through, and both managers to sort of adjust and makes their tactical changes what they see fit. And yeah, hopefully the second half's just as entertaining.
What's really entertaining me here at St James's Park is this is Rob's first commentary for a while, and we had a chat pre-match about kind of the do's and don'ts of football commentary. I'm like, well, whenever there's an attack, just break off and I'll pick up. But literally whenever Rob tries to make a point, such as being the way of this game, whenever he tries to talk, somebody goes on the attack. This time Harvey Barnes couldn't keep the ball in play. But this is what you want, isn't it, from a game? Just end to end, just non-stop chances, non-stop drama.
Yeah, and it means people can listen to you instead of having to listen to me as well, so that helps.
Said absolutely nobody ever. As the ball goes back to Sam Johnston, plays it downfield. That's a push in the back by Byrne on Arakadore. Referee perfectly placed to spot that one, as were we, actually, just on top of the tunnel here in the main stand. Just an elbow in the back there, wasn't it? Just clever from Byrne to knock Arakadore off the ball.
Yeah, I think he's obviously the referee's good referee, and it is a foul. And Arakadore's been excellent. I think he's been a real threat. He's caused lots of problems. Yeah, he looks a real find, and big physical presence, and stretching the pitch as well as being a good target man. I think Wolves will feel a bit hard done by, but they've on the attack now.
Krejci sends in the cross from the right, cleared sideways by Newcastle, straight back to Krejci here. He's got support from Hugo Bueno on the edge of the area, left foot onto his right, tries to beat Tino Livramento, takes it to the byline, in goes the cross, and then the header is just wide, that time from Rodrigo Gomez, who went close in the opening minute of this game. That was a good ball in from the right. Rodrigo Gomez with 2 goals so far this season, just a couple of inches away from making it 3.
Yeah, it looked in, didn't it, from our angle, and then just drifted wide. And yeah, it's been brilliant play from Hugo Bueno. He's been fantastic on the right, usually coming in on his left, on his stronger left, but then went to the byline. It's a great cutback, and yeah, again, Newcastle fortunate. I think Wolves will find themselves hard done by not to have equalised.
Wolves want a free kick for a foul on Harvey Barnes, given by referee Chris Kavanagh. So Wolves free kick, dead centre of the pitch, dead centre of the Wolves half of the field. Tonali just clips the ball to Guimaraes, and Newcastle quickly get moving again to their right. Trippier to Murphy to Guimaraes once more. 4 minutes to go until half-time. Newcastle lead Wolves 1-0. Murphy takes the ball to the byline. That's well intercepted by Totti. Could he prevent the corner? The cheers from the Newcastle crowd will tell you, no, he couldn't. So Newcastle with their third corner of this first half. This, one of only 2 goals in the 3 o'clock so far. The one that's been scored here by Nick Voltemada, the other in the Premier League, that is, scored by Bournemouth's Alex Scott to give them a 1-0 lead against Brighton. Palace, Sunderland, Everton, Villa, Fulham Leeds, all still goalless. As Trippier gets ready to deliver the ball from the far side, the Newcastle right with this latest corner. Arms go up into the air, plays this one in with pace towards Burn at the back post. Burn wins the header. Wolves first to the second ball, and it will be cleared on this near side. Is that a foul by Burn on Totti? No, says referee Kavanagh. Totti does well to get to his feet and still somehow keep possession of the ball. Voltemada in with one challenge, then a second. The spin keeps the ball in play, and here come Newcastle with Guimaraes. Excellent ball to the right with the outside of his right boot. Just lacked a little bit of pace, but it got to Trippier anyway. And now here's Murphy with a shot, just wide. He caught that brilliantly. Johnston went flying at full stretch. He wouldn't have got there. It was just wide, but that was brilliant. And it all started by not one but 2 tackles from Nick Voltemada.
Yeah, it looks like he's filling the centre half, can't he, with the size of him? So, no, it's brilliant. I think that's just what you want to see. You know, he's picking up on that, on Eddie Howe and the way this Newcastle team play now. You know, that intensity, that tracking. Put 2 good challenges in. The ball somehow stayed in, and Bruno with a fantastic ball with the outside of his foot. And then Trippier with another fantastic first-time pass into Murphy. And yeah, I think Murphy will be disappointed, isn't it, at the target? He could have had 3 today. And yeah, good signs from Newcastle. They're a bit more aggressive now. I think they're a bit lacklustre the first 30 minutes, but they're pressing Wolves, they're turning the ball over, and again, could be 3-3, you know, this game, the way it's going, and hopefully it continues.
I was going to say on Jacob Murphy, I don't think he'll be disappointed that he didn't hit the target there. He'll be disappointed that he's not leaving the pitch at half-time with the match ball, because he has had so many chances. That one, the one where he's had the most time and space to line it up, and then he just caught it, absolutely wellied it with his right boot. It glided perfectly through the air, but just the wrong side of Sam Johnston's right-hand post. We've got 90 seconds to go, plus stoppage time in the first half here on 5 Sports Extra. We'll be back with Mark Chapman for all the half-time scores and reports in just a second, and then we'll come back to St James's Park here on Sports Extra as soon as the teams re-emerge for the second half, so that we can have a break and Rob Elliott can sample the hospitality. Ball over the top to Barnes. Flag stays down here. Barnes into the area left side. Ball across the 6 yards area. Murphy surely this time 2-0. But then the flag goes up. And you did feel straight away, Rob Elliott, that Harvey Barnes was at least 1 yard offside, but that's the instruction that's given to the assistant referees. Wait until the passage of play ends, which he did, and as soon as Murphy's shot found the net, the flag went up.
Yeah, he tried to delay his run, and I think he just drifted offside. We'll see here whether he did or not. But great cut back to Murphy, who obviously this time puts it in, and it probably seems like it's his luck today. The one goal he does get is offside, but yeah, again, good play from Newcastle though. Again, looking like they're a threat every time they're going forward, and I think Wolves do need half-time now to reset.
VAR confirming what we thought straight away. Offside, Harvey Barnes in the build-up to that goal. So it's still Newcastle 1, Wolves 0 here. Wrexham 0, QPR 2 in the Championship. Swindon 1, Harrogate 1 in League 2. And Newcastle here have a free kick. All eyes turn to the side of the pitch to see what the 4th official, Anthony Backhouse, is going to add on for stoppages. Wolves have the ball with goalkeeper Sam Johnston. 5 minutes to be added on here at the end of the first half. We have had a couple of stoppages, haven't we? The collision involving Krejci and Guimaraes. And then we saw Mosquera stay down when he caught that shot full board in his face as well. So 5 minutes to be added on here. Wolves have been awarded a free kick for a foul midway inside the Newcastle half. Ironic cheers coming from the Wolves supporters high up in the gods here. I'll be honest, I don't think Chris Kavanagh's had that too bad a game. No,
obviously they are a long way away, aren't they, up at Newcastle? So the referee seems to have done everything right. I don't think there's been too many controversial decisions, so no. But I suppose it's frustration, but good opportunity for Wolves to load the box. You know, they're a big physical team as well, and they've looked a threat, so Newcastle need to make sure they defend this properly.
Half-time, Fulham 0, Leeds 0 elsewhere. Mark Chapman with all the reports and scores, as I say, at the end of the First half here, Wolves with a high ball into the penalty area. Nick Pope comes and claims it at its height, 8 yards out, bowls the ball quickly to Trippier in the right back area. Joao Gomez on him in a flash. It just took Wolves a little bit of time to get going again following that goal. But now they're just starting to find that belief and confidence once more. The way that Newcastle took the lead, Voltemade with the header on his debut, just knocked the confidence out of Wolves after a strong start.
Yeah, I think they've sort of gone into survival mode, haven't they? They just look like they're trying to get through at 1-0. Whereas when they were on the front foot at the start of the game, they're a real threat. And they still are a threat going forward. I think they've probably just sat off Newcastle a little bit too much now. And, like we just seen there, unlucky in terms of the play.
Ball played into the feet of Voltemade, back to goal, edge of the area, tried a kind of back-heeled flick. It was never on because there was nobody anywhere near him in black and white. Just a little bit clumsy that time, but he will not care. He's got that goal on his debut and he's going to remember that forever.
Yeah, I think you can see the confidence is in him getting that goal, settled with the nerves, Imagine as a striker, move to a new club, move to a new country, the first thing you want to do is get a goal to settle everything, and like I said, I think that's the first time he's been wasteful, so...
Well, Newcastle wanted a free kick over on the far side, nothing given by referee Kavanagh. Play will continue as Wolves try and switch from left to right, but this time Hugo Bueno couldn't quite get there, and it goes out for a throw into Newcastle in their left back area. Half-time whistles blowing all around the country. We'll confirm all the scores shortly. Late goal in the Championship, Hull are level at Swansea. Swansea 1, Hull 1. Here, Newcastle United leading Wolverhampton Wanderers by 1-0. 2.5 minutes of first half stoppage time still to go at the end of a half which has been excellent. Both teams with chances, but on the balance of play when it comes to possession, balls in from the wide areas, Newcastle just about deserving, if you take out those 2 first-minute chances for Wolves, of course.
Yeah, I think the first 30 minutes you'd argue Wolves are the better team, but now with the chances that Newcastle created and obviously with the goal itself, I think you probably look at it and go Newcastle are going into half-time just slightly deserved in the league. I think Wolves really have been punished for the fact they haven't taken their chances, and I suppose Newcastle could have made the game easier by taking theirs, so I suppose it tees the game up for the second half perfectly and gives us the opportunity to see, like you said, it's going to be tough team talks for both managers, because I don't think either will be overly happy.
Just a delay in the free kick being taken by Newcastle. Former Newcastle keeper Rob Elliott there, making his 5 Sports Extra commentary debut. Will be happy with the scoreline here, as it could be about to get better. Ball play towards Guimaraes, edge of the area. Wolves intercept and clear, only as far as Joelinton, out to the right. In it comes from Trippier. Voltemade tries to get there. Ball cleared away well this time by Wolves, and they're able to get it up towards the halfway line. What will make Rob Elliott even happier is his former side Gateshead have just equalised at Wealdstone, so it's 1-1 there. Newcastle looking to make it 2 here with Murphy cutting in from the right on his left foot, runs into traffic, receives the ball back though. Murphy dead centre, 25 yards out, shot blocked, and now Tonali beats his man, puts in a shot off the post. He did everything right, Sandro Tonali. Cut in, first time shot, off the inside of the post and back out it came. Here's Harvey Barnes on the follow-up. His cross is blocked. That's hit a Wolves defender in the face. It wasn't a handball. That is going to be a corner, and that should be 2-0 to Newcastle.
Yeah, brilliant strike from Tonali. Chops in on his left foot, sees it up and hits the inside of the post, and I think goes behind Sam Johnson and somehow doesn't go in. And even before that, Murphy getting his shot off, which was blocked. And I think, like we said before there, Wolves need to get through to half-time now, because Newcastle could have made this 3s and 4s. So, brilliant from Newcastle, really turned the screw since they've scored, and, just looking for that second to try and give them a bit of breathing space. Corner
to be taken by Harvey Barnes, an in-swinger. I make this Newcastle's 5th corner of the half. The 5 minutes of stoppage time are up, so this will be the last act of what has been an action-packed first half of this game between Newcastle and Wolves. Some argy-bargy in the 6 yards area. Chris Kavanagh just looks at the situation and says, look, what do you expect me to do when there's a player on his backside in the penalty area before a corner gets swung in? All seems a little bit nonsensical at the back post. Dan Burn, one of the players involved, as Trippier eventually takes the corner. In it goes. Tonali with a shot towards goal and has to be tipped around the post for another corner. No time for that to be taken though. There is the half-time whistle, and Newcastle lead Wolves by 1-0. And the man who's going to take the headlines is Nick Voltemade, who scored a header half an hour into his Newcastle United debut. It was brilliant from Jacob Murphy, who's had a great half in general, to be fair, but the cross from Murphy from the right was pinpoint point to land straight on the head of Voltemada, and he powered his header past Johnston at the back post to give Newcastle, Rob Elliott, just about a deserved 1-0 lead going into half-time.
Yeah, I think so. I think up until the goal, Wolves were excellent and you looked like they were the better team, but once the goal's gone in, Newcastle's got better and better, and arguably should have been 2 or 3 to the good. So no, overall been a good display from Newcastle since the goal. Fantastic debut goal as well, and I think Wolves now need to regroup and get back to where they started the game, because they've just faded out the game more and more as it's gone on, and probably fortunate to only go in at 1-0.
But on a Wolves point, just finally, enough quality from them in glimpses to give them hope, being just the one down.
Yeah, I think they've been fantastic, to be honest with you, up until the goal. So 5 changes, it's really stirred it. They've had good balance and should have scored 2 or 3 themselves. So it's a bit of a hard game to judge, really. It's swung so much, but I don't think there's too much to be disappointed with Wolves, other than probably the way they haven't continued their form after the goal went in. They could have carried on that momentum which they lost. So I think half-time will be interesting, because I definitely don't think this game's over.
We'll be back here on 5 Sports Extra in about 11 or 12 minutes' time. But for now, with the half-time score here, Newcastle 1, Wolves 0, we'll rejoin Mark Chapman and the team over on 5 Live for all the half-time scores and updates.
Has seen a header flash across the face of it. Derby haven't even thought of threatening the other net. They will be thrilled that it's still goalless.
All square there, all square at Swansea as well. Owain Gwyneth.
Yeah, Swansea City 1, Hull City 1. Ollie McBurney's equaliser late in the half. For Hull replying to Zan Vipotnik's 4th goal of the season. On the whole, it's been a game lacking in quality and accuracy, but Swansea will feel they had the better of things. But at least those 2 goals have given the fans something to talk about. Swansea 1, Hull 1.
Elsewhere in this championship this afternoon, Norwich lead at Coventry by 1-0. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Bristol City 3. Hillsborough, Bristol City unbeaten in the championship this season. Sheffield Wednesday continuing their miserable start. Goalless between Watford and Blackburn. And at Wrexham at the break, it is Wrexham 0, QPR 2. A Conor Cody own goal. And Richard Coney has got his 3rd of the season for QPR. Let's get details of that game at Coventry. Mark Webber.
Where it's half-time, Coventry 0, Norwich 1. Norwich have unpicked Coventry's defence better than the artful Dodger on the counter-attack and have silenced the home crowd with a lead at half-time. Mathias Kvistgaarden, 17 minutes in, loose-marked on a counter-attack to drive a shot into the Coventry goal. Before that, Coventry were peppering the Norwich goal, pick of the chances for Ephraim Mason-Clark in the first 20 minutes, requiring 2 super saves from the keeper. Coventry 0, Norwich 1.
Let's go into League One. We're at Stockport Cardiff this afternoon. Adam Cottier.
An uncomfortable afternoon so far for the morning leaders. Cardiff mark, Stockport 1, Cardiff 0. Ollie Norwood's penalty after Perry and G had pushed over Benoni Andreasen. Andreasen has hit the post. Kyle Wotton has produced a fine save from Nathan Trott, and Stockport have had an excellent first half. Stockport 1, Cardiff 0.
Elsewhere in League One this afternoon, AFC Wimbledon 0, Rotherham 1, Barnsley 1, Reading 1. It's Burton 0, Lincoln 1. Sonny Bradley with his 3rd of the season, putting the visitors ahead there. Port Vale had only scored before today 1 goal away from home this season. They got 2 in the first half at St James's Park. They lead Exeter by 2 goals to 0. Goalless between Leyton Orient and Bolton. It's Luton 1, Plymouth 2, Mansfield 0, Stevenage 0. As you may have heard Ian say in commentary, Peterborough haven't won in the league since the beginning of April, so that's a 14-game span. They lead at the break at home to Wycombe by 2 goals to 0. It's also 2-0 to the home side, Wigan against Doncaster. Into League Two, we're with the leaders Gillingham this afternoon. Notts County, their visitors, Mike Williams.
Goalless at the break, but this has been a real snooze fest in Kent. No talking points, no shots on target, no chances of any note, really. Bradley Dack, the Gillingham captain's put himself about a bit, but to no great avail. Took a tumble in the box late on, muted cries for a penalty, swiftly dismissed. Gillingham, remember, haven't lost since the 4th of March, but the League Two leaders have got more in them than this, surely. 0-0.
Bristol Rovers are going for their 4th straight win in the league, and they look like they're going to achieve it. They lead Barrow by 2 goals to 0. At the break, MK Dons, who suffered back-to-back defeats, also lead at the break. They're 1-0 up at Chesterfield. Goalless between Crewe and Barnet. Fleetwood 1, Walsall 1. Grimsby 0, Cambridge 1. Goalless between Oldham and Bromley. Shrewsbury 0, Salford 1. Swindon 1, Harrogate 1. And Tranmere lead Newport by 1-0. In the National League, good first half for Boreham Wood. They lead Altrincham 3-0 at the break. Braintree lead York by 1-0. They've changed their manager this week of York. It hasn't worked so far. Carlisle 0, Aldershot 0. Forest Green Rovers 0, Scunthorpe 1. Hartlepool 0, Brackley 0. Solihull Moors 2, Morecambe 1. Southend 0, Boston 0. Sutton 2, Tamworth 3. Truro 0, Rochdale 1 and Wealdstone 1, Gateshead 1. In the Championship in Scotland, Arbroath 0, Dunfermline 2, Ayr 1, Ross County 0. Goalless between Queen's Park and Morton, and St Johnstone lead at Wraith by 1-0. In League 1, Alloa 0, Montrose 0, East Fife 1, Queen of the South 1, Kelty Hearts 0, Stenhouse Muir 1 and Peterhead 1, Hamilton 1. In League 2, Annan 0, Clyde 4, Edinburgh City 1, East Kilbride 2, Elgin 1, Stirling 0, Forfar 2, Dumbarton 1, Stranraer, who are down to 10, are goalless at home to Spartans. Let's go to Edgbaston. Somerset, the first finalist on finals day. They beat Lancashire earlier in the second semi-final. Melissa Story.
Well, Northants, they're in a bit of trouble. They're 65 for 5 after 8 overs. They dismissed the dangerous Northants captain David Willey, his first ball. The Centurion in the quarter-final for Northants, Ravi Bopara, he went just for 8. And Saif Zaid just now dismissed by a fantastic catch by Ali Orr, diving on the boundary to his left. Bit of a rebuild needed now for Northants. They're 69 for 5.
Russell Fuller in Poland at the tennis.
World number 484, Olaf Pieczkowski, pushed Cameron Norrie very hard in the first set, but Norrie has won it 6-4, and the 21-year-old is feeling the pace. He was given a time violation when he wasn't remotely ready to serve after one brutal rally, and so despite losing the doubles earlier in this Davis Cup tie, GB lead 2-1 and are a set away from winning the tie against Poland. It's going with serve in the second set, 2-1 Poland.
In Rugby Union, in the Rugby Championship earlier, South Africa thrashed New Zealand in New Zealand by 43 points to 10. Argentina won in Australia as well by 28 points to 26. In the Women's World Cup, New Zealand earlier beat South Africa by 46 points to 17. And they're about to get underway between Canada and Australia. Maz.
Yeah, and both sides making a couple of changes for the business end of this tournament, Mark. Canada 3 from the Scotland win, which saw them progress from Pool B as the group winners. Australia making 2 from their defeat to England last weekend. Looking to make the semi-finals of a World Cup for the first time in 15 years, the Wallaroos. But we expect them to find it pretty tough against a Canada side ranked second in the world. The winners will play New Zealand here in the last 4 on Friday. We get underway in the next 2 minutes or so.
Couple of minutes to 4 o'clock. Al Tansley has the news.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The Metropolitan Police has estimated that 110,000 people have attended a rally in London organised by the far-right activist Tommy Robinson. The force estimated the number at a counter-demonstration organised by Stand Up to Racism was around 5,000. Downing Street has pushed back against criticism of the Prime Minister by some Labour MPs. Several backbenchers have now publicly criticised the handling of Lord Mandelson's appointment as ambassador in Washington and his subsequent dismissal. A serving police officer has appeared in court charged with sexually assaulting a 16-year-old girl. PC James Stillman of Devon and Cornwall Police appeared at Exeter Magistrates Court. He's also charged with misconduct in a public office. And Qatar says it will host a summit of Arab and Muslim leaders on Monday to discuss Israel's attack on Hamas officials in Doha. Officials say the country remains on high alert as it can't rule out another strike. The US Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, will visit Israel tomorrow.
Teen 25 is all about hearing from young people about what matters to them.
From the things they love and their ideas for the future.
On Tuesday's 5 Live Breakfast, I'll be in Bradford with the results from a survey of over 2,000 teenagers. We'll hear from a group of teens who made their bedrooms into tech-free zones for 5 days, finding out if it made a difference to their sleep, their schoolwork and family life.
And from 9, I'll be hosting our live Teen Summit, hearing from an audience of young people about topics which matter to them.
Team 25.
Listen throughout the day on Tuesday.
On BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Bite Size Study Support.
This is 5 Live Sports with Mark Chapman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Let's go to Wentworth. We're on the third round. Victor Hovland leads. Ian.
Yes, he does, but he had to birdie the 10th to get back at the top of the leaderboard after drop shots at 8 and 9. Opened up with 3 birdies in his first 4 holes. So he's at 13 under par as he plays the 11th, one ahead of the Frenchman, Adrien Sadier, who has only had 1 bogey and a very changeable weather-wise day here at Wentworth, 12 under par. And Alex Noren, the winner of the British Masters, former champion here, he's at 12 under. But a really good day mark for Tyrrell Hatton. He is bogey-free today, 6 under par for his round, 11 under, just 2 behind.
And John Hunt can tell us he's had a really good day at the St Ledger.
Yeah, that's it's a familiar headline, Mark. Aidan O'Brien with his 9th win in the St Ledger. Favourite Scandinavia winning by a neck there from Rahib. But Aidan O'Brien making new records all the time as his career develops. John Scott, 185 years ago, was the last trainer to win a hat-trick of St Ledgers until today. Aidan O'Brien has just matched him with that achievement. The Derby winner, incidentally, Mark Lambourne, faded to 4th. He was a little bit under par.
Thank you, John. Martin Zubimendi got his first goals for the club, 2 of them, and Victor Gyökeres the other, as Arsenal beat Nottingham Forest 3-0. Ebericha Eze and Noni Madueke started on the wings, and Mikel Arteta was impressed by them.
Both of them, I think they were terrific. A real threat with their own qualities, so different in the way that they create danger, a threat and unpredictability to the opponent, but very pleased. It will require different profiles around them as well to maximise the qualities as they have, but they are both in a good moment.
You have players all over the pitch who sparkle for you, and the man with 2 goals, the first one was a thunderbolt, the second one was a header from Zubimendi.
Incredible. I think to be the way he's performing, the authority he's showing on the pitch, great. If he's adding goals on top of that and the type of goal that he scored today, then what else can we ask?
And at the back you were without Saliba, but it was seamless. You wouldn't have noticed he wasn't there.
Yeah, I think Mosque again. I think we have to throw him at Anfield after 5 minutes or 3 minutes, I don't know when he was. And he had an unbelievable performance, and today again it was really solid, very convinced again, very connected with the defensive line, very impressive.
So good all round at this moment in time, everything looking strong for you?
It is. We had the injury of Martin that we don't really know what happens. It looks like the same area of the previous injury, so the rest good. Obviously we lost Willow. We have still a few players obviously unfit and they are not available for selection, but overall okay.
Mikel Arteta with Jonathan Pearce. The thoughts of Ange Postecoglou during Sports Report at about 5 o'clock, before full commentary from the London Stadium of West Ham against Tottenham. Back underway, as you can hear, at Everton. Ian Dennis.
Yes, just back underway, so perfect timing. It is 0-0 between Everton and Aston Villa, but I can tell you that Aston Villa have made a change at half-time. Yuri Tielemans has gone off and Evan Gesand has come on, the Ivory Coast international, for just his 3rd appearance, as Everton playing from left to right as we look, with Njai, lays it off towards O'Brien. They have Pickford in goal, O'Brien, Keane, Tarkowski, Garner at left back, Gay, Irabunam, Dewsbury Hall, Njai, Grealish and Beto for Everton in their royal blue shirts and white shorts. So they are attacking that giant stand away towards our right that holds the 13,000 all the way back, trying to mirror what they've done at Dortmund, of course, with the yellow wall, and very similar as well to those who've been at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium too. In comes the throw from O'Brien. It was a long one in towards the penalty area. And just looking to see how Aston Villa have jigged things around. Gessan is playing on the right, isn't he?
Yeah, and then McGinn's gone alongside Bogard in midfield, so it's not much of a huge change for them. Buendia out on this left-hand side, but what it will do now is, I think they'll just be looking to push James Garner back into that left-back position with Gesson and his ability to take people on in 1v1 situations, but we have seen him predominantly off the left-hand side when he started and played for Aston Villa so far.
So that's how the midfield is configured, with Rodgers in behind Watkins, and then the defence is Cash, Mings, Konsa and Digne. Emi Martinez is in goal, but Everton are coming forward, and this is Gay. Can't switch it to Grealish, struck the heels of McGinn. Picked back up though by Everton. Dewsbury Hall falls overrun in the midfield, and Rodgers now looks for Watkins, easily cut out though by Tarkowski. Hardly had to really break stride there to step forward. O'Brien now runs forward with the ball, the right back, playing from left to right, does well. Irabunam, former Villa player. Shrewsbury have equalised at home to Salford City in League 2. Shrewsbury 1, Salford City 1. Out to Grealish, hugging that left touchline. Comes infield, they've doubled up on him, flicks it back. Shot from Garner, Beto steers it wide. It was a low ball, fizzed in. Beto tried to guide it in right-footed, and it was probably about a foot or so wide of the right-hand post. It remains 0-0. Try in the Women's Rugby Union World Cup, Canada-Australia. Mas Faruqi.
Yeah, pretty much from kick-off in. Good link-up play down the left from Canada, and then a burst of speed from Asia Hogan-Rochester, touching down on the corner. The conversion was missed by Sophie de Goody, but Canada starting this match as they mean to go on in this Rugby World Cup quarter-final. Canada 5, Australia 0.
Thanks, Maz. You'll get that on Sports Extra 2. It's a streaming service available through the BBC Sounds app. As we mentioned in the first half, more choice than ever before.
Welcome back to St James's Park. No changes made by the two managers, Eddie Howe or Vitor Pereira at half-time. Newcastle leading Wolves by that one. Nick Voltemade header, 2-0 on the half-hour mark. And it's going to be Newcastle United to get this second half started. Sandro Tonali stands over the ball as the home team get ready to kick from left to right, attacking the Gallagate end, and Tonali hits it long downfield. Away we go for the second half. Newcastle 1, Wolves 0. Rob Elliott, the former Wolves, that was a Freudian slip, former Newcastle goalkeeper, alongside myself, Lee Blakeman, for commentary here on 5 Sports Extra. The message from Eddie Howe, Rob, at half-time would have been what, do you think? Just more of the same?
Yeah, more of the same since the goal. I think just up in the intensity and the speed of play. I think since the goal went in, they've been excellent, so I think they won't want to change too much, and I think it'll be the opposite from Wolves. I think they'll want to start the game the way they did and make sure they don't. I think they're probably sitting off Newcastle a bit too much when Newcastle were in possession, allowing them into their wide areas, and Newcastle started to hurt them.
It was an interesting kick-off from Sandro Tonali that you don't see all that often. He just launched it like it was a game of rugby, high into touch, as deep inside the Wolves territory as he could possibly get, which resulted in a Wolves throw by the corner flag, and it's just taken them about a minute to get away from that area. You don't see that all that often, but a great kind of way to mix things up, I thought, from Tonali there.
Yeah, it's creeping into the game more. I think we've seen PSG and I think Barcelona have done it, where you just play for possession, put the opposition 5 yards from their goal line, and you can only throw the ball so far, can't you? So it seems to be a tactic creeping into football, and Newcastle used it well there.
Maybe Sandro Tonali, as he came out of the tunnel, just caught a glimpse of me in my NFL baseball cap and got all confused here in my Philadelphia Eagles attire, as the ball is worked by Newcastle to the far left to Tino Livramento, who was excellent in the first half, nice and busy and lively, and Newcastle are on the attack here. Joe Linton switches from left to right to find Kieran Trippier. Murphy takes over. He could have had a hat-trick in the first half. Jacob Murphy got the assist for the goal. It was a pinpoint cross to pick out Voltemade with the header, and now Newcastle, passing the ball in triangles, do well to win a throw in that time off Rodrigo Gomez. Trippier to take the throw, level with the edge of the Wolves penalty area. I'll run through both lineups as soon as we get another break in play. Newcastle fans starting to find their voice in the Gallagate as they just continue to return from having had their half-time refreshments. Goals flying in elsewhere in the Premier League. Brighton have equalised at Bournemouth. Kiru Mitoma has got the goal there down on the south coast. Bournemouth 1, Brighton 1. Here, Newcastle leading Wolves by 1-0. It's Gillingham 1, Notts County 0 in League 2. Watford 0, Blackburn 1 in the Championship. And Shrewsbury 1, Salford 1 in League 2. Sam Clucas with the goal there. Here, Newcastle have won it down the right. Murphy with the cross. Wolves clear, only as far as Trippier on the edge of the area. Takes it on the bounce, gives it to Guimaraes inside the D. Nice turn, goes the full 360. Andre goes in with the challenge, and Wolves are able to clear the ball towards halfway. Byrne wins it back and gives it to Livramento. 3 minutes gone in the second half here on 5 Sports Extra.
Yeah, Wolves really haven't come out at all. Newcastle, from like we talked about, from the kickoff, have pinned them in, and Wolves are struggling to get out their half, and I think Newcastle really are trying to turn the screw. Murphy again, who's been excellent, got down the side of Gomez, and good defending. Trippier following up, and Bruno just couldn't get the shot off, but Newcastle on the attack again.
With Trippier, ball in field from the right, intercepted just about by João Gomez, who got enough on the ball to just steer it away from Joe Linton. Wolves go long with the clearance, and it carries all the way through to Nick Pope, who by this point in the first half had made 2 excellent saves. One to deny Rodrigo Gomez, the other to deny Hwang Hee-chan. Wolves have been unable to seriously threaten his goal since then, but he was on top form from the off today. Nick Pope continues to be as well. Here, Newcastle working the ball to the left this time. In it goes to Livramento inside the area, tries the cross. Good piece of defending by Yerson Mosquera, and Newcastle have the first corner of the second half.
Yeah, great play from Barnes and Livramento. They got some fantastic link up. When one goes wide, the other goes inside, and vice versa. And Livramento plays Barnes, carries on his run, gets the ball back, and like you said, good defending. But another Newcastle corner, and Dan Burn especially coming up is going to be a big problem.
Murphy to take the in-swinger from the Newcastle left. He's got 6 black and white shirts to aim for in the penalty area, 5 of them inside the 6 yards area. Whips the ball in, punched away by goalkeeper Johnston. Tonali sends it back goalwards. Johnston punches it away at the second time of asking to. It falls for Barnes on this near side, who came close to winning a penalty in the first half. Receives it back from Guimaraes. His cross is blocked, and the ball goes out for a throw-in to be taken by Trippier, right by the corner flag. In League One, Luton have equalised from the penalty spot against Plymouth. Luton 2, Plymouth 2. Narky Wells with the goal there, and it's AFC Wimbledon 1, Rotherham United 1 as well. Also Peterborough 2, Wycombe 1. Here, just 1 goal in it between Newcastle and Wolves in Newcastle's favour. That return ball to Trippier didn't go in Newcastle's favour, though. That's probably the first thing Jacob Murphy has done wrong all day. Just played the ball straight out into touch. So Newcastle with Pope in goal, Trippier, Cher, Byrne and Livramento the back 4. The 3 in midfield, the Guimaraes, Tonali and Joelinton. Harvey Barnes wide one side, Murphy wide the other. Nick Voltemade making his debut, the goal scorer, down the centre. All 6 foot 6 inches of him. Thin, Peter Crouch type build. Played 3 times for Stuttgart this season already. Played for Germany, started in the 3-1 win against Northern Ireland during the international break, and he's fitted straight into life here in the northeast. Took him just half an hour to open his account in black and white. Here's Trippier, edge of the area right side, digs out a low cross, cleared sideways by Wolves. Murphy will let it go and settle for a throw-in 12 yards from the corner flag. If you're looking for commentary of Everton versus Aston Villa, by the way, 10 minutes gone in the second half at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. It's over on 5 Live, 0-0 between the two teams there. Elsewhere in the Premier League, 3 o'clock, Bournemouth 1, Brighton 1, Palace 0, Sunderland 0, and Fulham 0, Leeds 0. At 5:30 on 5 Live, we've got commentary of West Ham against Tottenham, and then at 8 o'clock, London derby between Brentford and Chelsea. Updates to come of that one on 5 Live as well. Newcastle with the ball wide on their left, played forwards, intercepted that time by Agbadou. Newcastle have it back with Tonali in the midfield. He's got the other number 8, João Gomez, biting at his heels, but Tonali does well to turn away from him, works it infield. Harvey Barnes on his right foot, plays the 1-2. Murphy with the return pass. Barnes couldn't quite get on the end of it, but Wolves have made a mess of the clearance here. And then Hugo Bueno backtracking. Does he put the ball behind for a corner? Yes, he does. A little bit clumsy there from Wolves. They had 2 chances to get the ball clear, but such was the pressure from Murphy and Barnes, they failed to do so.
Yeah, it started off with brilliant play from Tonali, playing the ball inside, and Barnes driving the ball forward. I think they're trying to play to Trippier because Trippier was free on the outside, but when it comes to Murphy, he's played the reverse back into the box, and it got a bit congested, and eventually Newcastle get another corner. But yeah, it's all one-way traffic now, isn't it? It's just Newcastle constantly on the attack.
In-swinger from Murphy in front of the Gallagher. 7 minutes gone in the second half. Corner swung in. Wolves deal with it in a straightforward way by putting the ball straight behind for a repeat scenario. Another corner, second in quick succession here, to be swung in again by Jacob Murphy. A second goal here, and Wolves really would be left with it all to do. A little bit of argy-bargy again inside the 6 yards area. So many players on top of Sam Johnston. He's done really well already in the second half to deal with a couple of high balls into the box. Impossible to see how he's going to be able to get through the crowd in front of him here. Murphy swings it in with pace towards the near post, headed away that time by Krejci. Back towards Murphy. Livramento's over there as well, but João Gomez does really well to turn away from not 1, not 2, but 3. Does the ball go out for a throw-in in his favour? No, it doesn't. Hugo Bueno clears on the turn, and the throw-in eventually goes the way of Newcastle. Taken quickly. Crew 1, Barnet 1. Crew took the lead, and then Barnet have just equalised within a minute of going behind there. It's also Barnsley 2, Reading 1 in League 1, and Plymouth Argyle in League 1 are down to 10 men. Joe Edwards has been sent off there. They're currently drawing 2-2 with Luton. Here Newcastle 1, Wolves 0, and it's with Tino Livramento, who goes forwards to the man who's been the busiest man on the pitch this afternoon, Jacob Murphy. running at Bueno, takes it to the byline. Can he dig out a cross? He can't, and it goes behind for a goal kick. 54 gone. Your thoughts on how it started since half time, Rob?
I think it's been more of the same, isn't it? It's just all Newcastle. Wolves really struggling to get out and get some foothold in the game. I think Newcastle now just pushing for that second. I think Wolves just need to inject a bit of energy, whether they need to be a bit more direct, go up to the big man in Arakode. Is that I said that right this time? Arakadore, apologies. He's been excellent, and they need to use him as a base, because when he does go up to him, he's causing problems. And but Newcastle just smothering at the moment, and it looks like it's more a case of when Newcastle score. So Wolves really do need to step up their game, and I'm sure they'll prove me wrong here.
As excellent as Arakadore's been, I don't think he's going to be buying Rob Elliott a pint after the final whistle here up in the northeast. It's a long way to go though. Newcastle leading Wolves by 1-0, and it's Wolves who have the ball with Andre on the halfway line. Goes back to Yerson Mosquera. Wolves 3 defeats out of 3 in the Premier League so far this season. They've scored just twice. Both of those goals came last time out in the 3-2 home defeat to Everton. They've now conceded 9 times, bottom of the table, and they've never in their history lost their opening 4 games of a league season. But that is the stat that's staring Vitor Pereira's team in the face at the moment. A really, really tough place to come back from mentally, as much as anything else, when you've lost 4 out of 4, especially either side of the international break.
Obviously watching Wolves today, you wouldn't have expected that to be the stat. No. I think they've been excellent up until the goal, and they just lost that confidence. But I think that's what happens when you're not winning, you're not getting the results, you're not getting the rewards for your play. It can snowball, and I think they've got to, from the Wolves' point of view, they've got to try and break that as soon as possible and get themselves going again, because like they proved, I think your stats we were talking about before, what they did last year and what the manager's done has been nothing short of exceptional. So we know they're a good team and they're a good squad. They've lost some good players in the summer, and I suppose it's a bit of a rebuild, but when you're losing games, it makes that bit more difficult.
I mean, they made 7 summer signings in one hand, which all cost around £102 million, give or take a few grand for Wolves, but then they lost Cunha, Aït-Nouri, Fabio Silva, amongst others. Big players, big personalities to try and replace straight away. They failed to win any of their first 10 last season. Gary O'Neill went, Vitor Pereira came in and got them up to 16th, 17 points eventually above the relegation places. So he knows what to do to get wins in the Premier League. It's just a case of needing a bit of time and patience here as he tries to drastically rebuild his Wolves squad. Here's Guimaraes with a heavy first touch on the halfway line. That allows Rodrigo Gomez to go snapping in. Free kick goes the way of Wolves here, taken very quickly by Krejci down below us. Gives it to Gomez, and now Andre inside the centre circle for Vitor Pereira's Wolves. Here's Totti, plays the ball to Rodrigo Gomez on this near side in front of Eddie Howe. Heavy first touch, but he gets away with it because Totti bails him out. High ball forwards. Cher sends it back to where it came from. Totti again, but the loose ball falls for Newcastle. Voldemort pulled down. Joelinton will continue. Here's a chance as he plays in Harvey Barnes. Goalkeeper Johnston came flying off his line to make the save, and now the referee stops play because Mosquera's gone down holding his face. But that was quick thinking by Joelinton to play in Barnes, because you would have forgiven him for stopping when he saw Voldemort get pulled down.
Yeah, brilliant play from Joelinton. Jumps on the loose ball, breaking through, sees Barnes on the outside, and it's fantastic goalkeeping from Sam Johnson. Comes off his line, really brave, dives at the feet of Barnes and intercepts it just before he gets there. So, yeah, just another example. I think Newcastle, where they have been excellent, as soon as the ball turns over, they're cutting through Wolves, and the opportunities are coming. And I think going back to Wolves, like we said there, when you lose players, those 3 players of that quality, it's going to take time. And I think, like you said, there's no issues with the manager. He's been nothing short of exceptional what he's done. I think they're just obviously looking for that first win to get the confidence, and making 5 changes today, I think he's obviously trying to find his settled team as well. So yeah, I don't think Wolves are going to have any huge issues long term, but I suppose in the short term they need to get that first win and get themselves going.
He's a proper personality as well, Vitor Pereira, somebody who I've had the pleasure of speaking to post-match on a few occasions. Keeps you waiting for ages, but when he comes out, he's absolutely box office at his press conferences. Really nice guy, top character, and we've still got this break in play here while Yerson Mosquera receives treatment for a head injury. Not for the first time, Rob, actually. He was down for quite some period of time in the first half too, wasn't he, Mosquera, when he got caught in the face by that Voldemort strike?
Yeah, he was. He's obviously he likes getting the action, so he's a bit worse for wear. And yeah, Voltemade landing on you is not gonna just rub off for a couple of seconds the size of him. But yeah, no. Going back to the manager, one of my best friends is he's a massive Wolves fan, and obviously the manager, quite in the press, going into pubs after the games and drinking with the fans. And I think just getting that connection back with the fans after what had happened previously. So I think he's well thought of, and this team's a good team. They're young. They've obviously got a lot of players, and I think Wolves will be fine. And they're not out of this game yet. They just need to reignite themselves because they've lost their way a little bit, and they're just getting overrun by Newcastle. And like the goal ignited Newcastle, I think Wolves need to find that little bit of quality and to get themselves going and try and, like you said, stop the rot, as you would say.
Mosquera makes his way to this near side, having received treatment. Just having a word with the medical team on this near side. The game will restart with Johnston kicking the ball out of his hands, long and high downfield. It's gobbled up by Byrne, who heads it back to where it came from. Voltemade wasn't expecting that. Neither was Murphy. He gives chase to what was a lost cause in the end. Totti returns the ball back to Johnston, and Wolves will build again from the back. Bournemouth have just retaken the lead against Brighton. Antoine Semenyo scoring from the penalty spot there to make it Bournemouth 2, Brighton 1. Elsewhere, Palace 0, Sunderland 0, Everton 0, Aston Villa 0. Commentary with Ian Dennis and Stephen Warnock on 5 Live. Fulham 0, Leeds 0. Here, Newcastle leading Wolves by that one Voltemade header to 0 as we hit the hour mark here in the northeast. Trying to rain, sun trying to come out. We've had cloud. If we could tick off snow, we've had just about everything during this game so far.
Yeah, welcome to the northeast. I'm used to it. I've been up here for a long time, but it's been a brilliant summer. But yeah, this is you can get all seasons in one day. But the game sort of dropped off a little bit, hasn't it? It's not been the same intensity as the first half because, like you said, Newcastle sort of dominating a bit, but they're coming forward again.
They are coming forward now with Guimaraes. It's intercepted by Mosquera, but Joe Linton picks up the pieces, plays in Harvey Barnes. Chance here, goes down in the penalty area. He'd lost his balance. That's never going to get given. And eventually the free kick goes the other way, actually. Wolves man down inside the penalty area. I think that's Mosquera again. It is. Mosquera spent more time on his backside than on his feet in this game since 3 o'clock.
It's definitely entertaining, isn't he? He's all over the place, but no, he's done well overall. He's energetic, and he likes the. He's enjoying the engagement with Joe Linton and the Newcastle players. But yeah, I think he just needs to get up and get on with it because Wolves are they need to find something, don't they? I think I think they need to be a bit more direct now. They need to go up to the big man and get some players around the ball. Because they did that in the first half, bypass Newcastle, and it caused them problems as they just tried to go long again.
Yeah, long towards Hwang Hee-chan, gobbled up in the air by Cher, and then Guimaraes wanted too long on the ball, and that kind of sums Newcastle up since half-time. Guimaraes there wanted too long on the ball, a little bit sleepy. Rodrigo Gomez nips in and returns the ball back to goalkeeper Sam Johnston. I'm aware I've not run through the personnel in the Wolves team for you in this second half. Johnston's the goalkeeper in for Sarr. Mosquera, Agbadou and Totti are the back three. Wide on the right, Gomez, wide on the left, Bueno, but they do keep swapping. Krejci, Andre and Joao Gomez in the midfield behind Tolu Arakadore and Hwang Hee-chan up top. 62 gone. Free kick to Newcastle for a foul on the goal scorer Voltemade in the midfield. I've just seen a replay of Voltemade's reaction when he scored that goal on the half-hour mark. The joy etched from ear to ear, just a dream start, moving just a matter of days ago really from Stuttgart. He's played for them 3 times already this season. He's played for Germany during the international break. Comes here, thrown straight in by Eddie Howe and scores. He couldn't miss really. The cross was so good from Jacob Murphy, but scores on his debut. St James's Park and the Toon go wild. They absolutely love that moment. Nobody though, clearly looking at his face more so than Voltemade did. Here, ball goes out for a throw-in over on the far side, and he's just been completely marked out of the game since that goal, hasn't he? Mosquera's been all over him.
Yeah, he has. I think they know his threat, especially his link-up play as well. They've been a lot tighter to him, not allowing him to bring Newcastle into play with his link-up. I think just talking there, obviously Wissa being injured, but sort of a classic attack. If you get Wissa back with his pace running in behind his energy and the aerial threat of Voltemade, they're going to be a real pairing. And I think it's when he is back fit and the two of them are together, I think it could be quite exciting times.
You mentioned in the first half picked up that injury, didn't he, on international break? Wissa scored 2 and 2 though. for Senegal as players switch from right to left towards Hwang. Waits for the challenge from Cher. That came all right. Cher went into Hwang with a right thud. Ball goes out for a throw, which Hwang takes quickly. Gives it to Rodrigo Gomez. 5 Sports Extra from the BBC. Both managers getting ready to make substitutions here. Wolves are going to bring on Jean Arias. They're also going to bring on Jean-Ric Bellegarde and Marshall Munetsi as well. So a triple change being readied here by Vitor Pereira, and a double one being lined up by Eddie Howe. Will Asula and Joe Willock getting ready to come on. So there's going to be lots of changes made here. Wolves will have to wait because Newcastle are going to go first. And just listen to this. Will Asula is coming on to replace the goal scorer. The first 64 and a half minutes we've seen from him in a Newcastle United shirt, Nick Voltemade, and he has been, Rob Elliott, superb. Took his goal really well.
Yeah, he has. He's absolutely fantastic. I think all you can do as a striker is you can do the best you can with the service you get. He hasn't had loads of service, has loads of opportunities, but when he's been asked to link up the play for the team, he has. And the biggest thing what he's done is when he's had that opportunity, that one opportunity, he's been ruthless and he's took it. And he's took it in a manner that you'd expect, and the one that hopefully we'll see a lot more at St James's.
Joel Linton has been replaced by Joe Willock, and now the Wolves changes are being made as well. You'll be delighted because Talou Arakadore is going off. Andre has gone off as well, and the other player to make way is Yerson Mosquera, unsurprisingly really, because he's spoken more to that physio, Yerson Mosquera, in this game than I think I've spoken to some of my family members in about 5 years, Rob. He's been in the wars, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. So he's managed to walk off, which I suppose is a blessing. But yeah, no, I'm surprised he's taken the big man off. I think he's been a threat. I don't think it's been more him. I think, Hwang and Gomez could have got around him a little bit more, because that's what they're doing in the first half, picking up the second balls. But like you said, a lot of changes, big changes, and we'll see if they have an impact.
And just to recap them for you, because there was a lot going on there. The ball's high on halfway, by the way. I'll recap them just as soon as this Wolves attack has finished, because Rodrigo Gomez has the ball midway inside the Wolves half, the Newcastle half, gives it to Totti. Here's Bellegarde. Have you got me back? Yep. Welcome back to St James's Park here on 5 Sports Extra. We went off once in the first half, so it's only fair that we go off once in the second as well. You join us just as Joao Gomez is going to go into the book for Wolves here. Late challenge going in on, that is Bruno Guimaraes. So a yellow card there for Joao Gomez. Just to confirm the changes, Andre, Arakadore and Mosquera have just gone off for Wolves as part of a triple change made by Vitor Pereira. Marshall Munetsi, Jean Arias and Jean-Ric Bellegarde, the 3 to take their places. Newcastle making a double change. Asula and Willock on for Joel Linton and Voltemade. Here, Newcastle with a free kick, about a third of the way inside the Wolves half, inside right, to be taken by Trippier. And Newcastle have 4 queuing up on the 18 yards line, and it's an opportunity here to make it 2-0 to Newcastle and possibly put this game out of sight. Trippier stands over the ball. Murphy's going to make a run to his right if he wants to go with a wide option. Trippier puts the cross in himself, and eventually Wolves are able to clear the ball downfield. I've still got Rob Elliott alongside me. Newcastle go all the way back to goalkeeper Nick Pope. We have got 21 minutes of this game to go here. Interesting to see what impact those substitutes have, Rob.
Yeah, definitely. I think the big thing we've seen when they have changed the rules that you can make 5 subs is a disruption to the game. And and I think it's interesting to see what that does, because sometimes it can disrupt the game, because obviously it's been all Newcastle's second half. So Wolves hoping that they can disrupt Newcastle's rhythm and start growing into the game grind into the game themselves.
Latest scores elsewhere: Swindon lead Harrogate by 2-1. It's Leighton Orient 1, Bolton 0, Mansfield 0, Stevenage 1, and Bristol Rovers 2, Barrow 1. So Barrow have got one back there, and Kiefer Moore scored for Wrexham to bring them back into the game against QPR. Wrexham 1, QPR 2 in the Championship. Also AFC Wimbledon 2, Rotherham 1, Barnsley 3, Reading 2. Here Newcastle United leading Wolves by 1. Nick Voltemade header to 0. He's just made way for Willa Schuler, and we will see what happens in the final. Just under 20 minutes to go plus stoppage time here. Wolves with Arias using the full width of the pitch, a little bit too much of it. That time it goes out into touch for a Newcastle throw, which Trippier takes and goes backwards with as he picks out Cher on the 18 yards line. So latest from the Premier League, 3 o'clock elsewhere. Bournemouth 2, Brighton 1. Brighton did equalise, but Bournemouth ahead for the second time now down on the south coast. Palace 0, Sunderland 0, Everton 0, Aston Villa 0, as you just heard a little bit of there with Ian Dennis and Stephen Warnock when we went off here on Sports Extra. Fulham 0, Leeds 0, and as we've been saying, Newcastle 1, Wolves 0 in this game. Guimaraes has just won it back for Eddie Howe's team, plays it to Ashula. He tries the through ball, looking to pick out the run of Harvey Barnes, intercepted by Krejci. He goes back to goalkeeper Johnston, and Wolves will come down their left. It was a good outball by Johnston, but then Hwang, trying to pick out Arias first time, misplaced his pass, and Newcastle will settle for a throw. Just as we went off there, I think there's just technical problems galore amongst many broadcasters here at St James's Park today. It was what you were saying earlier, Rob, about the weather. You're not used to having so many climates in one afternoon here. It's clearly playing havoc with all of the internet and power lines, quite obviously.
Yeah, there's obviously an issue, isn't there, with the sunny clouds to what looks like it's going to absolutely bucket down. So, hopefully it's better listening to us than not listening to us.
We are. It depends who you are, I suppose. We are undercover here as well. Now, when we came out for the start of the second half, I was getting ready to put on the Factor 50. Now, I'm getting ready to put on my Mac. It's gone very dark and very grey overhead here at St James's Park. So hopefully we'll stay dry for the remainder of this game, which has 18 minutes left to run plus stoppage time. I hate cliches, but the next goal, absolutely massive in this match. Newcastle get it, it's game over. Wolves, and it's game on. Here come Newcastle with Murphy to the edge of the area right side, digs out a cross, might fall here for Harvey Barnes, well recovered by Wolves, and Agbadou just in the nick of time to clear it to the 18 yards line. It's going to fall for Hugo Bueno over on the far side in a bit of a battle with Guimaraes. Is that a foul by Guimaraes on João Gomez? It was, but the referee has played a good advantage there. Chris Kavanagh. Wolves come forwards down their right with Bueno again. Good challenge going in by Tonali. Throw in to the visitors midway inside the Wolves half of the field. Taken quickly as they go backwards towards Agbadou. Here's João Gomez. 1-0 to Newcastle. Gomez looking at his options. He's got Bellegarde just next to him. Picks him out now. He's got Guimaraes for company. Keeps it moving. Totti on this near side. Plays the ball forwards to Hwang. Totti once more. And now Jean-Rickner Bellegarde, who came on as part of a triple change made by Vitor Pereira about 6 or 7 minutes ago. Agbadou forwards, poor ball, intercepted by Newcastle, who come forwards on the counter with Livramento. He's got Barnes wide of him, beats his man. He's going to check though, work it onto his right foot, comes and feel. Livramento plays a nice 1-2. Guimaraes flick, Barnes shot over the crossbar. Great move, just too high with the finish.
Brilliant move, wasn't it? Again, we've seen Barnes and Livramento. Their 1 and 2 touch plays absolutely fantastic. They've got a brilliant understanding, and then Bruno comes in, sets it for Barnes about 20 yards out, and he just can't keep it down. Bends it a couple of yards over. Wolves seem to have changed shape as well. They look like they've gone to a back four and probably going to try and get an extra man forward to try and get a bit more pressure on Newcastle. But yeah, Wolves look like they've steadied a little bit, but Newcastle still look a real threat on the break. And like you said, the next goal is massive, but I think Wolves really do need to speed things up because they're not really threatening Newcastle's final third. Nick Pope's pretty much been a bystander for most of the game.
Wolves getting ready to make some more changes. Substitutes getting stripped off just to the left of the halfway line here. We just heard the attendance confirmed as ever, 52,000 plus inside St James's Park, 52,145, the majority of whom made themselves very much heard when Nick Voltemade headed in the game's only goal on the half-hour mark. The game's going to get stopped again here now because Marshall Magnetti has gone down inside the centre circle. He's got to his feet, told the referee he doesn't want treatment, so they've stopped the medics from coming on, but Magnetti, who now crouches over, looks like somebody who either needs treatment or certainly needs a minute.
He tried to say no to the treatment, but I think there's got to be the head injury is so serious and we've got to make sure we take it. But when a football hits you in the face, you know, with not too much power on, I think we can all agree you can carry on with the game. Now, you might have a bloody nose or whatnot. And speaking from someone who couldn't get out of the way of the football well enough and got the ball in the face a lot, you know, it does hurt. But yeah, it's one of them ones where I think we're seeing it tactically being used. You know, when the ball's hit with someone, they're going down off the impact, and I think it does disrupt the game, and they've obviously made him go off the side of the pitch now.
Those are the thoughts of former Newcastle goalkeeper Rob Elliott, who's alongside failed Sunday League goalkeeper Lee Blakeman for commentary here at St James's Park. Newcastle 1, Wolves 0. Newcastle coming forwards down the right, looking for a second goal. Guimaraes gives it to Tonali, who's got time and space inside right, 30 yards out. Chips the ball to the left, brought down first time by Tino Livramento, running at Hugo Bueno. Ball in field, Barnes ball in, headed away by Krejci to the 18 yards line. Wolves try and win it back and make it stick with João Gomez, who does well to take it, clears on the turn up towards Hwang. First time layoff from him. He brings in Jean Arias, and Wolves are coming forwards here in their numbers on the counter. Play switch from right to left. Bellegarde will bring the ball down on his chest, running at Trippier, cuts inside on his right foot, edge of the D, ball to the right, good choice, brings in Bueno, 6 yards from the byline. Bueno goes back, cross is going to go in from Agbadou. Pope comes, drops it, claims it at the second time of asking. Just what was needed there to take the pressure off his defenders, because Wolves were looking threatening.
Yeah, much better from Wolves, wasn't it? Moved the ball from left to right and then back again and get a good cross in, and Pope does well, comes and claims it to take the pressure off, but much better from Wolves. You know exactly what they've needed, breaking down Newcastle, finding some space, and they'll need more of that if they're going to get the goal back. And yeah, definitely looking to press high in terms of Newcastle, because it has been too easy up until this point.
Well, Wolves making their final two changes. They're going to take off Rodrigo Gomez, who's had a few chances. He scored 2 goals so far this season. He's not going to add to that tally today. He's going to make way along with Hwang Hee-chan. So Hwang Hee-chan and Rodrigo Gomez are going off, and the two to come on are Fair Lopez and Jackson Chichawa for the final 13 minutes plus stoppage time here at St James's Park. So he's done all he can from the side of the pitch now, Vitor Pereira. He's made his 5 substitutions. Now it's down to the players he's selected on it to try and get Wolves an equaliser and their first Premier League points of the season. Wolves on the attack down the right. Cross is going to come in. It comes off the back of a Newcastle player, cleared, brought back down by Arias over on the far side, using the full width of the pitch yet again. Beats one, can't beat Guimaraes. Newcastle try and pass their way out of trouble, but don't. They give the ball away, and it's now with Gomez in the midfield. João Gomez, 25 yards out, brings in Bueno, left side of the area, low ball in, cleared away sideways that time by Newcastle United and Joe Willock, and it's a throw into Wolves, and you can just feel all of a sudden, Rob Elliott, the momentum starting to change here.
Yeah, exactly, and this is why Newcastle need that second goal, because one goal, one attack from Wolves building into it, playing with a lot more tempo, a lot more intent, and like you say, you can hear the grumbles and the bit of anxious.
Throw ball here, chance for Wolves with Bellegarde, intercepted well by Newcastle. Nervous Newcastle supporters all around us. The clearance has gone straight to Totti, and Wolves are on the attack again. Totti to the left to Hugo Bueno, and now Jean-Rickner Bellegarde with a little bit of time on his right foot switches things from left to right. Wolves keep the ball with Agbadou inside right, 25 yards out, through ball looking for Bellegarde. Ball goes behind, and it's a goal kick to Newcastle, and Bellegarde puts the ball on the 6 yards line for Nick Pope to try and say hurry things up a bit. We've got some momentum here.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's poor final ball in the end, because they had good pressure, but definitely good signs for Wolves in terms of the way they're playing. Newcastle, like you said, the game can turn so quickly. They've got to be careful. They've got to make sure that they do go and get that second goal, because the quality Wolves have got within this team, and we know how football goes. One opportunity and then it can turn a good performance and a good day into a sour one. So yeah, I still think the game's teed up well, and like you said, I think there is another goal in this game, and the next goal is huge.
And it might come here for Newcastle as the ball's played back to Wolves keeper Sam Johnston. Ashula gives chase. Johnston plays it high downfield. Byrne goes down under a challenge there. Newcastle want a free kick, nothing doing, say the officials. Shrewsbury 1, Salford 2, and Luton 2, 10-man Plymouth 3. Our latest scores in Leagues 1 and 2. Newcastle getting ready to bring on Anthony Elanga down below us. He's just having a long chat with the Newcastle manager Eddie Howe, but Elanga will be on shortly. Is it going to be before this throw-in is taken? Yes, it is. Elanga is going to come on, and Harvey Barnes is going to be the man to make way. Always a live wire, always a threat, just hasn't fallen just right today for Harvey Barnes.
No, it hasn't, and I think Harvey Barnes is a great example of a player who's grown and grown into his time here, and he's getting better and better. And I think for me, he's a fantastic young player. He's got so much ability, and I think the next level for him is he's just finishing off those opportunities he gets, and when he does that, he's going to be a top player. But Elanga coming on now, I think with Wolves probably pushing out, trying to get the goal back, there's going to be more space, and with Elanga's pace, it could be a real threat for Newcastle on the counter. So yeah, hopefully he teases up for a good 15 minutes.
Gateshead 2-1 up at Wealdstone. Rob's former club. Kane Adam with both goals there. Here, Newcastle 1, Wolves 0 with 10 minutes to go plus stoppage time, and Wolves have the ball midway inside the Newcastle half of the field. So Elanga on, Barnes off for Newcastle. Changes galore. Eddie Howe can still make 2 more. Vitor Pereira's made all of his as Totti plays the ball to the left. Hugo Bueno does really well actually to keep the ball in play and not let it drift out for a throw. Wolves try and cut in from the left. Guimaraes wise to it, passes the ball to Tonali, who's under pressure from 3, peels away from 2, draws the foul surely. Yes, says referee Chris Kavanagh. Clever play, but at the same time risky play, given where Newcastle were playing around with it there inside their own half. The Wolves coaching staff absolutely furious that Newcastle got a free kick there.
Yeah, I think it was a bit soft, wasn't it? It was a brilliant touch from Tonali in the first place, but I think overall it's a bit soft. The Wolves coach is being animated. There's a few next to us as well. They're getting quite animated as well, because obviously it's an important time for them. But yeah, I think Newcastle got away with that one. I think it's that classic one, isn't it? When you're under pressure and you've got a man tight to you, you go down, and 9 times out of 10 you get the free kick.
West Brom 0, Derby 1. Andreas Weimann with the goal there at the Hawthorns in the Championship. Newcastle go long here, looking for the run of Asula, beaten to the ball by Totti. He clears on the turn with his left foot. Trippier tries to bring it under control on his chest, falls for João Gomez, passes the ball out, couldn't find Arias, and it's going to be a throw into Newcastle, a third of the way inside the Wolves half. Newcastle 1, Wolves 0. Commentary to come on 5 Live at 5:30. West Ham, Tottenham, and then we'll have updates of the London derby from 8 between Brentford and Chelsea. Already today in the Championship, 1-1 it ended between Charlton and Millwall, 2-2 between Oxford and Leicester, and between Preston and Middlesbrough, and then goals flying in everywhere in the Championship. West Brom just going a goal down at home to Derby. Stoke still leading Birmingham by a goal to 0. We'll keep you up to date as they go in the closing stages here on 5 Sports Extra. But it's St James's Park. It couldn't be more finely poised. That is a late tackle going in. Is it by João Gomez? The referee not interested there on Sandro Tonali.
I'm not sure there was too much contact. I don't know whether he's landed awkwardly, Tonali, but yeah, it didn't seem like there was too much contact there. Obviously Gomez on a yellow, so he's got to be careful with that. But no, the referee didn't see too much wrong. I think the referee's been fine today, to be honest with you. Probably a couple of soft ones either way, but nothing too controversial so far.
Yeah, it feels just like what you'd expect to happen at this stage of a game. Wolves staring a 4th defeat out of 4 in the face. They're desperately asking for a little bit of support from the officials on anything, and they're just starting to lose their rag a little bit now, Wolves.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think they're just becoming a little bit, there's been a few arguments and disagreements between a couple of the players, and like you said, it's not a bad camp. It doesn't look like an unhappy camp. It's a frustrated camp in terms of Wolves, and and I can understand their frustrations. I think overall they've been okay today. I think they started off brilliantly for the first half hour. They just probably reacted poorly, I suppose, to the goal, you would say, in the fact they didn't have enough belief to carry on doing what they were doing, because they were causing Newcastle problems and hurting them, and it's been a struggle for them to get back a foothold in the game. They've shown a few glimpses since the substitutions, but haven't quite got themselves enough of a threat to really test Nick Pope again.
So it's a Newcastle free kick wide on their left, just short of the midway point of the Wolves half of the field, over on the far side. We've got 6 minutes to go plus stoppage time. Free kick sent in diagonally. Cher heads the ball towards the 6 yards area. Shot goes in, takes a deflection from Willock before the goalkeeper Johnston comes and makes the claim and looks to get Wolves back down the other end of the field in a hurry. Willock didn't catch it properly, did he? Just snatched at it.
Yeah, just sort of come completely off his shin, a complete shank, and he hit a Wolves defender and bounced kindly into the arms of Johnson. So yeah, Newcastle, one big thing they have and they've not been shy about it. It worked against Liverpool. Is every set piece is going in the box. They put Shah, they put Byrne forward, and they're a real threat when the ball comes in the box. And not only that, it stops teams getting out, and they're really good at pinning teams in and having a second and third attack. So I think Wolves have struggled with that, especially at the Gallagher. When you're attacking the Gallagher, you don't realise the slope. It's a huge slope at St James's, and when you're defending it, it can really feel like you're falling into the home end.
Well, Newcastle attacking that end at the moment. Murphy does well to play the ball against Totti, and when Newcastle United a corner, he just punches the air towards the supporters in that stand. An opportunity to just waste a few more seconds, and he also wants the supporters to be nice and loud going into these final 5 minutes, because it has been a little bit flat inside the stadium.
Yeah, it has. I think that's just the way the game's gone. Newcastle have been on top. There hasn't been loads of chances. Johnson and Pope definitely haven't worked as much as you like, but you know that Wolves are going to have something in the next sort of probably 10 minutes they've added on as well. So yeah, I think from Newcastle's point of view, can the fans get behind the team now? Can they get that second goal to seal the 3 points?
Short corner to Trippier. And now Willock on the edge of the area, chips one in towards the far post. Johnson comes a long way, claws the ball away. The loose ball will fall for Jackson Chichawa over on the far side, long with the clearance, looking to try and pick out the run of Fer Lopez, but Tino Livramento gets there first and goes all the way back to Nick Pope, who's been excellent from minute 1 today in the Newcastle goal. And then Trippier wanted a little bit too long on the ball that time, very nearly closed down by Wolves, and his pockets picked, but Newcastle get the ball downfield, and then it's a foul given against Osula on Krejci, which gives Wolves a free kick. We're just distracted here in this main stand. The Wolves coaching staff are absolutely livid with some of the decisions, both down on the touchline and up here in the stand just along from us.
Yeah, I know. There might be a reason why they're in the stand, to be honest. So yeah, it's an interesting one.
Newcastle 1, Wolves 0, 3.5 minutes to go here on 5 Sports Extra. Is there a second goal in this game? If there is for Newcastle, it will secure it. If there is for Wolves, it will set up their first points of this Premier League campaign so far and avoid them losing a 4th successive game at the start of a season for the first time in their history in the league. Here is João Gomez in the midfield. Works the ball to the right. Agbadou's over there. Back in field to João Gomez. 5 Sports Extra. We've got the closing stages on 5 Live of Everton versus Aston Villa. They're into stoppage time there at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Everton 0, Aston Villa 0. Also goalless Palace Sunderland, goalless Fulham Leeds, and Bournemouth Lead Brighton 2-1. Earlier Arsenal beat Nottingham Forest 3-0. Here that's a foul by Newcastle, which has resulted in a Wolves free kick. Bellegarde 25 yards out. Is that a foul by Guimaraes? Yes, says Chris Kavanagh. It was clumsy from Guimaraes. He's not happy, and this is going to be a Wolves free kick to the right of centre, 25 yards out. Rob Elliott, big opportunity now for Vitor Pereira's team.
Yeah, big opportunity. It's actually come, I think Totti gets away with one, doesn't he? He gets the foul. He actually gets the foul, but he drags down, I think it was Willock or Osula, and then handles the ball. And then, yeah, they play quickly, and it's good play. He gets brought down, and like you said, dangerous area. They're going to obviously have a shot on goal, and yeah, it's a good opportunity for Wolves to get themselves back in the game.
So just as the Newcastle fans weren't happy that one decision had gone against them, they're really not happy now, because this is a dangerous position for this free kick. 89th minute. Newcastle 1, Wolves 0. Jean Rickner Bellegarde stands over the ball with his right foot. It will be him with his right or Fer Lopez with his left. 3 in the Newcastle wall. I must say it favours the left foot of Fer Lopez here. He hesitates. Instead, Bellegarde hits it against the top of the wall. Behind it spins. Corner late on for Wolverhampton Wanderers, which Fer Lopez sprints over to take in a hurry as we tick towards the final minute here. Newcastle leading Wolves by 1-0 on 5 Sports Extra, but it's Wolves who are ending the game the same way they started it, by applying loads of pressure on the Newcastle United goal. Quick short corner taken by Fer Lopez. Bellegarde back to Lopez. Newcastle force Wolves back into the centre circle to Chichawa. Just what Newcastle wanted to happen. Ball over the top is poor, and it goes behind for a Newcastle goal kick.
Yeah, that's really wasteful from Wolves. I mean, they haven't had many opportunities. They get the opportunity from the corners to put the ball in the box, and they play short, but they won't really set. End up going all the way back to the halfway line, and then having to play long, and the ball goes straight behind for a goal kick to Newcastle. So Wolves not doing themselves any favours there. I think the situation they're in at the moment and the way of the game, they've got to get the ball in the box as much as possible and hope something falls to them. But that wasn't great, and I think the manager will, rightly so, will be displeased.
Final 30 seconds plus stoppage time. You would imagine there'll be quite a bit of stoppage time here. Chris Kavanagh just looks at his watch down below us. Here, João Gomez having his shirt pulled by Joe Willock, and it will be a Wolves free kick inside their own half, which Sam Johnston says, leave to me. Get yourselves as far up the field as you possibly can, he says to the defenders and midfielders ahead of him. Here comes the fourth official now, Anthony Backhouse, to hold up 6 minutes of added time. 6 minutes for Wolves to try and find an equaliser, or for Newcastle to hold on and protect this 1-0 lead. It's Wolves who have the ball at the moment midway inside the Newcastle half. It's a poor ball in field, intercepted by Byrne, tried the through ball, looking for the run of Willock. Wolves able to intercept and come away with Jean-Ric Bellegarde. 5 Sports Extra from the BBC. It is 8 minutes to 5 on a Saturday afternoon. Late drama at St James's Park, as Newcastle have been unable to build on that half-hour mark goal given to them by the debutant Nick Voltemade. Wolves try and force a way forward. It's with Bellegarde again. He's been pulling the strings since he came on as a substitute earlier in the half. Vitor Pereira made that triple change at the time. João Gomez midway inside the half, tries the through ball. Fer Lopez, here's a chance. Arias with a pullback, good block by Newcastle, and it will be cleared away here, should be by Guimarães. Cher arrives on the scene. Ilanga's over there too, but Newcastle are boxed into their left back area before Guimarães gets fouled, and that will be a Newcastle free kick, cleverly played by 3 of them over there.
Yeah, well run for the free kick, but Newcastle fall into the trap a bit like Wolves did. We talked about sitting deep and allowing Wolves to have loads of time. Obviously Newcastle looking for their first win as well, but I think they just need to apply a little bit more pressure higher up the pitch, because that was good play from Wolves. They worked the ball across the pitch, played through the lines and managed to get down the side of Newcastle in the penalty area. Good block, I think, from Dan Byrne. But Newcastle, like we said, got to just be a little bit careful they don't allow too much pressure onto them, and much better from Wolves in terms of threatening the goal. And like you said, another 2 or 3 minutes left, and just feels like there's still something else in this game.
4 minutes to go, 92 played. Newcastle 1, Wolves 0. Late heartbreak for Leeds at Craven Cottage. An own goal from Goodmanson in the 94th minute has made it Fulham 1, Leeds United 0 there. Reaction to come on 5 Live Sports Report with Mark Chapman after 5. We'll be heading to the rugby here on 5 Sports Extra in the next few minutes. Botman getting ready to come on as the latest Newcastle United substitute down below us. It's been a dramatic Saturday afternoon. There'll be even more drama here on Thursday. I can't wait to watch that. Newcastle against Barcelona in the Champions League. That should be quite the occasion.
Yeah, I think the European nights under the lights at St James's are absolutely incredible, and I was fortunate enough to play in a couple myself, and the atmosphere is always fantastic, but on them European nights, welcoming the likes of Barcelona is going to be incredible. And they've got to make sure they see out this game first and go into that game and with that good positive mentality, getting the first win. But definitely something to look forward to for the Newcastle fans.
3 minutes to go. Newcastle have just won a corner on this near side, the Newcastle right, to be taken by Trippier. Botman standing by. He's not going to come on before this corner is taken. An opportunity here for Newcastle to wrap things up if Trippier can get this delivery spot on. It's Voltemade's header that separates the two teams at the moment. Trippier looking to kill it from the corner. In it goes. Byrne with the header back across goal, headed away well by Agbadou to the edge of the area. Arias tries to play a 1-2 on the edge of the box. Wolves boxed in. Jackson Chichawa's pass is poor, and Newcastle are able to win it back and take the ball towards the corner flag over on the far side, with Sandro Tonali, who does really well to win a throw. Botman standing by to come on to waste a few more seconds.
Yeah, I think Botman would join Shah and Byrne just to see it out. Yeah, Jacob Murphy?
It is.
Jacob Murphy coming off. He's been absolutely exceptional today. One thing you always get with Murph is he works his work rate's incredible, high intensity, but his quality is just getting better and better. And I think you mentioned it at half time. It's surprising he's not getting mentioned about an England call up, to be honest with you, because what he's done the last few seasons with his assists and goals.
It's finished. Everton 0, Aston Villa 0 on 5 Live. Crystal Palace 0, Sunderland 0, and Fulham 1, Leeds 0. Earlier it ended Arsenal 3, Nottingham Forest 0. Still playing Bournemouth 2, Brighton 1. Commentary at 5:30 on 5 Live to come of West Ham Tottenham. We'll be off to the rugby in the next few minutes here on Sports Extra. Wolves try and clear from their right back area. 90 seconds to go in stoppage time here at St James's. Newcastle 1, Wolves 0. Tense end to this game. Just the one goal in it. Wolves dominant at the very start and at the very end. Newcastle have had the better of things in between those two patches of Wolves play. Here's had a push in the back by Bueno on Trippier. Yes, Newcastle free kick and an opportunity to waste a few more seconds. Hugo Bueno just having a word or two with Kieran Trippier, saying you went down too easily. Looked like a push from where we were sitting as we go into the 96th minute at St James's Park. Newcastle nearly there, Rob Elliott, when it comes to their first Premier League 3 points of the season.
Yeah, nearly there. Great experience from Trippier there, isn't it, to win the foul and kill the game. And you'd imagine this is going to take a while to be taken. And yeah, it's going in the corner, and Newcastle try and smother it and make sure this is the end of the game and don't let Wolves out again.
Cher plays the ball down the line looking for Trippier. Comes off his head. Asula able to keep the ball in play. Wolves clear only as far as Tonali. Final 30 seconds. Trippier to Guimaraes. Decides not to go towards the corner flag. Goes towards the area. That was a dive. He's not going to get a free kick for that. Gallagher not happy. Neither is Guimaraes. But that was silly really from somebody who should know better. Went down very, very easy there.
Yeah, it did seem to. I think he's trying to buy another free kick to finish the game off, and obviously Wolves now just launching it forward, trying to create something.
It's ended Bournemouth 2, Brighton 1, so this is the final of the Premier League games that kicked off at 3 to finish. And Newcastle looking for a second goal here. Asula, shot comes in from Guimaraes, that gets blocked. Referee Chris Kavanagh looks at his watch, and now Eddie Howe is barking and screaming at his players to get back to try and stop this Wolves counter. Bellegarde finds Hugo Bueno into the 97th minute. Late drama here. Hugo Bueno with a deep cross towards the back post, headed away by Newcastle. Guimaraes brings it down. Good composure on the ball to play in Tino Livramento, and there is the final whistle. Newcastle win their first Premier League game of the season, and Nick Voltemada has scored on his debut for the football club, heading in a brilliant cross from Jacob Murphy on the half-hour mark. Nick Pope made 2 saves to keep it at 0-0 inside the first minute, denying first of all Rodrigo Gomez and then Hwang Hee-chan. He was brilliant throughout. Wolves with late pressure. Newcastle held on to win this game, Rob Elliott, by 1-0. What did you make of it?
Yeah, first 30 minutes I thought, Newcastle struggled. Wolves were excellent. Nick Pope, like we said, made a couple of fantastic saves, but yeah, from the moment Newcastle went 1-0 up, that was it. They were the only team in it, and the only team that liked scoring. They'll be disappointed they didn't make it 2, 3 and 4 and see the game off. Wolves had a little bit of a comeback, but never really looked like they were going to threaten the goal and score. And overly well-deserved 3 points for Newcastle, and yeah, sets them up nicely for Thursday. And for Wolves, I suppose it's a real tough start to the season, and I suppose the first 30 minutes will give them hope, but they're going to have another hard look and find some more solutions.
And we have spent the last few months talking about the Alexander Isak situation here at St James's Park. Just talk to us about Nick Voltemada and what that goal will do for not just him, but the football club and fan base as a whole. Brilliantly taken, half an hour into his St James's Park debut.
Yeah, and I think you could argue at least for me personally, the Villa and the Leeds game, that's what we were missing. We were missing that clinical striker, of someone of Isak's quality. So yeah, for Voltemada to come in and get that goal, and to add to it, even the Liverpool game, you could argue could have got the opportunity to win with a top number 9, and that's what they seem to have got. And with Whistler coming back as well, it looks good for the goal scoring for Newcastle.
And as for Wolves, Rob, 4 defeats out of 4 in the league at the start of the season for the first time in their history. Just where do they go from here now? Vitor Pereira came in to turn things around last season. What do they do now? Have you seen glimpses to give you hope for them?
Yeah, they've got some really good players, obviously. Both Gomez's, the top players, and I think they just had a big transition. They lost 3 of their best players. They obviously lost a couple in the January before, and it's not an ideal start for them. I think they've got more than enough to be fine, but you know what the Premier League's like, it's relentless, so they'll need to regroup and try and get that first win on board and be able to grow, because what they did last year was exceptional, so there's obviously talent, there's obviously structure there, but for whatever reason it's not started well, and you just hope it's going to take them time for the new players to gel, and when they do they'll kick back on again. But more than enough to see today that they'll be fine, but they want to get that win sooner than later.
And just a word on Thursday, the atmosphere's been brilliant here today, but when Barcelona come to St James's Park, that should be quite electric, and what a great performance to go into that game off the back of too.
Yeah, exactly. It gives Eddie Howe headaches, doesn't it, of a team selection. And we talk about atmosphere. I think there won't be a better atmosphere in Europe when the teams walk out on Thursday night, and I think it'll be exceptional to be here. So I think, for Newcastle now, it sets them up nicely, gets that monkey off their back in terms of scoring getting their first win. And I think they can take confidence. I thought they got better and better as it went on, and hopefully a couple of players will be back fit and they can look forward to the game and go and attack it.
It's been an absolute pleasure to watch it with you, Rob, here this afternoon. Those are the thoughts of Rob Elliott here at St James's Park, where it's ended Newcastle 1, Wolves 0. But there's more live sport to come now on 5 Sports Extra as we join commentary of Canada against Australia in the Women's Rugby World Cup with Kat Merchant and James Burridge.